I'm in Magna.
I've been around a little long, never went. I've seen it all.
Yeah.
Hey, isn't that the way it works?
I was going down the way of like, sure, I don't have no problem with that. Of course it is for that.
Sure.
It'd be a lot easier. Really be a lot easier.
So your facility, right? So both.
Sunday, so what about?
I'm assuming.
I got a message from Nicole and I keep forgetting to call the guy back.
Again, that's just a little tidbit of information that I would keep in the back of my mind.
Yeah, I don't want to get mixed up.
Well, you don't want to get yourself in a position with these guys. That's one thing I can think why you want to use it. As a campaign platform or whatever.
And something about.
Can you pull up the?
Shut the door. Shut the door. Trouble's here.
Someone's there.
Where's the lesser half?
Yes. And lesser half was just returning from Manassas, where he picked up signs.
Democratic side?
He's still married to me.
What?
He's still married to me. Actually, it's.
Have fun.
We need to ask real questions later.
Tell me.
See, you're in trouble, I'm not.
No,
I gotta be teasing you.
like benign. Oh, yeah, there are a lot of non-benign questions.
I got a thing called.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Hi, how you?
No, he did call me.
That's what time he usually calls.
Oh, really?
Oh, he gets it. He goes.
Yeah, he said he gets, he told me, he said, I get up to 3. But I, phone rang, I had to phone him. Hey, and he, and all of a sudden, noise went off. My wife said, what is that? I don't know. I was asleep. And then at 8:30, this person, she said, I called earlier this morning. I went, maybe that's what the noise was. Okay. So, got the wrong business back in animal. She's working correct. So I fixed it. Then she called back and she said, still in the cut line. I went, you're right. So I fixed it. I said, you know, it's great that you're online. If you're in print, if you're the Eagle, you gotta wait a week. You know.
Parade entries. Email Troy it.
Nobody sent me anything.
I sent the same thing.
I did not get it.
We're finally
Sorry, I
getting
had to
the
say
registrations, but he says, but fair. Yeah, like I told you, I got a partial. So, but the weather's gonna be so good, so it's just as good.
Yeah.
I don't do it.
I was at CMR last week at campaign.
I don't know, 94 to me is.
It was that, like that at Walmart, yeah.
I saw it.
Yeah.
He's so cute.
Yeah, we got a lot of cheap.
I bet you will. I always love to see them. I spend my day, if I go to.
Well, I mean, that's what we did. We did a story on a Rappahannock kid, we did a story at the beginning on a Madison kid. And then you could work, cover the show, no Madison or Rappahannock kid, or that. Doesn't matter, but they're cute kids. Cute kids take cute pictures.
And you're doing more on Culpeper too. You've had some,
Well, we're trying to branch a little bit.
I love it. I mean, it really is great.
We're trying to ease our way into that market. And being that the Culpeper Times doesn't have an editor right now.
Yeah, they have a desk down at the, just down the road from you at the country store.
They did.
It was a great show.
But that particular night. Right.
But actually Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning.
Yeah, I couldn't be every place. In fact,
You
Sunday,
haven't cleaned yourself yet.
Sunday, I had, one of my reporters went out and covered 3 things there. I did not go there on Sunday. I just stayed home, haircut.
Full.
You just set up over there. That's all.
We do know that there is.
All right, y'all ready? Yeah. Y'all ready? All right. Excuse me. Let's call the Board of Supervisors meeting to order. As always, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. We do have a quorum. We do need to adopt an agenda. The only 2 that I have that need to be changed on this agenda is 8 and 9, excuse me, under new business. Both of those, we don't have anything to act upon or even really discuss this evening. So I propose we remove those 2. Anybody else have anything we need to add to this agenda or subtract?
Mr. Chairman, do we need to, can we handle the Firefly?
Well, absolutely. What about if we put 1A as Firefly? And then the other one, right before public comment, we need to do the motion to allow Ms. Hoffman to attend virtually. So we'll make that in between what we're doing currently and public comment. Please.
Good.
Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
So, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same way.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to move Supervisor Hoffman advise Chairman Jackson on July 13th, 2021, she will be unable to physically be present. In compliance with Virginia Code Section 2.2-3708.2, pursuant to Section 2.4.f of the Madison County Board of Supervisors bylaws and rules of their procedures.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Ms. Hoffman, I see you on go to meeting. Can you hear us? She unmuted, yeah. All right. We'll take that as a sign. Moving on, let's start with, as always, let's start with public comment. Public comment. Public comment. Ms. Smith, do you have some? Good to see you. Any public comment? Are they flooding in on the virtual platforms there, Livingston?
We've got several viewers, but no comments.
That's better than normal. All right, we're done with public comment. We'll do it again later. This evening we do have Mr. Hua from REC. Welcome, Mr. Hua, and understand you got a PowerPoint and kind of walk on through it.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, and thank you. It looks like the slides are up. I don't know if how to advance the slides necessarily, but I'm glad to
Oh, no, nod at him.
get underway.
There you go.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Yes, good evening, Board of Supervisors. I'm John Hua, the President CEO of Rappahannock Electric Co-op. It's wonderful to be with you again this evening, and really just wanted to take up a few moments and talk a little bit about an update for your cooperative and answer any questions that the board may have, and make sure that we're having an opportunity to chat about some of the issues of the day. So if you wouldn't mind the next slide there, and I'll try my best to do both. Just first and foremost, at a high level, most folks don't realize there are over 900 electric co-ops in the United States. 56% of the landmass is electric co-op service territory, and co-ops serve in 88% of all U.S. counties. And I see our friends from CVEC, Mr. Wood over here, we do a lot of collaboration and cooperation within our network. It really helps us add value. Next slide, please. Today, your co-op REC is serving portions of 22 beautiful, diverse Virginia counties. That puts a lot of a challenge for our team to meet the needs of all those different communities that we serve. But together, we've got over 17,000 miles of power lines that we're maintaining. We have about 440 employees that are keeping up with all that infrastructure. We're reaching some historic investments in the grid, working to keep up with growth and aging infrastructure and the kinds of things that we need to do to make sure we're keeping the system strong. And just as a note, over the last year or so with the pandemic factors, we actually continue to see our growth really strong throughout the service territory. Now, here within the county itself, we have about 7,500 meters. That'd be on the next slide. If I start talking about something else, you can just jump ahead. But we have about 7,500 meters here in the county, a little over 1,000 miles of distribution and power lines. And we have employees that are living and working right here that are rolling and responsive and helping us with any of the needs that might arise, especially those unforeseen needs that might have come up with these types of summertime thunderstorms, those types of things. Next slide, please. And so again, just some of the diversity of our service territory. We work with a lot of different stakeholders, a lot of organizations, entities, and even federal and state agencies. That includes key accounts and includes, of course, working to meet the needs of local county government. Next slide, please. So with respect to our team, one of our driving values is caring. That's with respect, integrity, and service as well. But our team really puts a caring element into everything that we do. That's the decision making, the shaping of the co-ops programs. And that's been an important theme this past year as we've worked to work with households and businesses throughout really some of the COVID impacts. Next slide, please. Oh, that's good. Our community grants and other programs, I'm going to make sure we've got y'all connected to the right people within our organization. Today, over 27,000 REC members are voluntarily rounding up their power bills every month to help fund the Power of Change, which is working alongside local nonprofit community agencies to help make a difference. So we're really thankful for that. We also have scholarship programs. Traditionally, we've had a youth tour program as well that should be returning in our post-pandemic operations. Next slide, please. So with respect to governance, we have a 9-member board of directors that are elected by the membership. This past August a year ago, we had over 20,000 member owners participate in the annual meeting proxy process. So we'll again have a virtual annual meeting. I'll have a little bit more on that later in the slides here, but want to take a couple of opportunities to encourage everyone to participate and have your voice be heard in shaping the democracy and the board for your co-op. Next slide, please. So just narrating a little bit here, some of the key accounts, or I'm sorry, local contacts for the Board of Supervisors to be aware of. Of course, Darlene Carpenter is the board member whose region covers the county here. But keep in mind that our board acts on behalf of the entirety of the co-op. So they're elected out of regions, but when they act with a sense of speaking and serving as a fiduciary for the entire region, all 22 counties. Sean McDonough is our regional manager that heads up the operations. And so if we're looking at issues with respect to line extensions, construction projects, storm restoration, Sean is really our primary contact and one of our team members that is making sure that things are in good order. Whitney Watts on the upper line there is my assistant. Whitney's always helping to keep us moving from a governance perspective and keeping everything in terms of CEO office inquiries going. Just quickly on the lower line there, you've got Casey Hollins on the far left. Casey oversees many of our member-facing programs and our communications, but particularly our charitable programs. So if there are needs in the county, Casey would be the best contact. Chris Sieber heads up our member services and has been very busy this past year during the pandemic. And then certainly Oliver Price, who I think you all probably are familiar with Oliver. He's actually out of the office today, so he sends his regards, but I know Oliver has been a continual presence. Lastly, I'll just mention, and each county has a little different philosophy on this, but last year we did add an economic development director, Felicia Ainsa. Felicia is here to help us work with counties and make sure that we are part of bringing in solutions. We are landing those potential prospects, and that we're fitting the aspirations of each of the counties we serve. Next slide, please. So regarding the pandemic operations, as you would expect, we've had to be highly versatile and very careful with our employees and how we've modified our office and other operations. Our team has done a really, really fantastic job with that. We're thankful and really appreciate the return to health and normalcy that we're seeing here in the Commonwealth, and that's been a good thing for us as well. To give a couple of key points surrounding kind of our role during the pandemic, our lobbies were closed for quite some time. They are now reopened. We are taking walk-in and appointment visits from members as needed. Our crews have continued to roll in a traditional sense, but did that work very independently, making sure that we had the grid well maintained and we were able to keep the lights on. We were fortunate to have a power cost reduction in 2020 and then another net bill power cost reduction in 2021. So both of those provided some rate improvements for the membership. With that, for members that fell behind last year, we were the recipient of CARES dollars, and we were able to push those dollars to the membership, and we went on an extensive campaign informing members earlier this year and late last year about those dollars being available. I will say at this moment, we are hopeful that the Commonwealth will appropriate some additional dollars through the American Recovery Act. That remains to be seen or determined, but we are very hopeful that there will be an additional round of support. And then lastly, I'll just mention that the co-op last summer and now this month here as well in July has retired $23 million in capital credits back to the membership. That's part of what being a co-op is all about, and we're pushing those dollars back to the homes and businesses. Next slide, please. So in terms of responsiveness, we have literally hundreds of projects underway to support the grid. We have recently updated our standards to strengthen and harden the system so that the material and the structures that we're building are stronger than ever before. We're investing about $70 million of co-op member money every year to meet growth and expansion. And so with that, storms are always an issue. We look every year at the storm's impact and our circuits that might have performed the best and our circuits that might have performed the worst. And you don't ever want to have a circuit that performs the worst, but out of hundreds of circuits, there are going to be a few that cause us some challenges. Each year, we have budget dollars available to address our worst performing circuits. So again, our goal is to have high reliability standards, but when we do have a region or a circuit, electric circuit that is challenged and having some problems, we're working to make sure the next budget year it's getting all the attention that it needs. So next slide, please. And then again, just yellow truck service. I hope that everyone is experiencing very strong service from our team. Again, our goal is to keep the lights on, but when we do have problems, be assured that we're doing everything we can to roll safely and timely. Next slide, please. So just jumping quickly to power supply. That's a topic that's on the minds of a lot of folks. Your co-op is powered through ODEC, Old Dominion Electric Co-op. It's a co-op that's headquartered in Richmond. ODEC serves in Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware, serves co-ops in each of those 3 states. And I think the biggest takeaways for the Board of Supervisors and the public tonight is that the portfolio is balanced. It's balanced, and it's geared towards, economics and also sustainability where that's possible. So in that balanced portfolio, we receive natural gas power, we receive nuclear power, we receive coal power, we receive wind, we receive solar, and we also have a hydroelectric allocation. So all sources, all primary sources that are available to the utility sector, we are benefiting from that, and that keeps us with a nice, diverse, reliable, optimized power portfolio. With that, there are trends towards more renewables, and ODEC is making gains in those areas as well. Next slide, please. So just 3 quick trends for distributed energy. Today, your co-op has over 1,000 member owners that have rooftop or ground mount solar arrays. And so when those systems are not producing enough, we're providing grid support and grid energy. When those systems are overproducing, we're buying back that energy and we're taking it to the neighbors and redistributing it. So that is a growing trend. We connected over 200 of those accounts last year, and we'll continue to see that grow. For members that don't have a home or business that's suitable for on-site solar but are interested, we have a cooperative SunShare program that today has 800 subscribers where a member can buy solar energy without necessarily making the capital investment at their home or business. Again, maybe the rooftop is not suitable. The second area is regarding electric vehicles. If you've been watching the news, you've seen the Ford F-150 Lightning. You've heard General Motors announcements that by 2035, they will be really out of the combustion engine business and into an entire electric fleet. And you've heard other brands that have made gains in that area. We are working on planning and running analysis on our system to look at the loading and the capacity needs, because that will be significant. It could increase energy sales 20, 30% in some locations per home. And we also expect that there will be certain clusters of EV adoption. As different models become performing better and better, we think we'll see certain regions or neighborhoods or even neighbors collaborate and end up getting vehicles, or even a single household that might have a couple of vehicles that are putting some additional demands on the grid. So we're looking at that very closely and expect to be playing an active role in the charging infrastructure. And then the last area in terms of trends is energy storage. Batteries, we're consistently increasing our dependence on energy storage, whether that's the laptops that you all are using here, or whether it's our phones or other devices. And we're seeing that likewise in the energy sector. We're seeing some benefits in terms of predominantly large-scale lithium-ion type batteries. REC has installed its first system that actually went in Spotsylvania County, and that system is designed for backup energy and for reducing our power cost. So more on that in the years to come. Next slide, please. Now, a topic I know is in part on your agenda later this evening, and that we had some conversation a couple of months ago here is with respect to rural broadband. Today, as I mentioned, I believe last time, REC has a 820-mile fiber backbone underway. That's a $30 million project that the co-op is tackling over multiple years. We are now accelerating the pace of that build through some more turnkey contracting that is looking to get this network done within the next couple of years instead of this being a longer term project. That's in response to the need to work with other internet service providers and to further connect up our substations and facilitate broadband in the regions that we serve. So that project is available for leasing for third parties. It's available for us supporting the grid, and it's available really for any future endeavors that REC itself may have in the area of fiber. With that, and we've been very thankful to play an increased role, we have begun to work with other ISPs. I believe one of those is internet service providers. I believe one of those is on your agenda this evening. But we've been very optimistic and very much working with other internet service providers. And that isn't limited to just one provider. We're having conversations with multiple providers in different regions and looking at how REC can play a significant role. At the basic level, that could be pole attachments, which we've done in a traditional sense. At a more advanced level for like wireless, that could involve agreements to mount wireless infrastructure on our poles, on our towers, at our substations. And then for the most advanced version of that, a joint project with respect to the ownership of fiber optics, which can take on a couple different meanings for REC, but could mean REC owning and building the fiber. So we're thankful to be able to help facilitate. I know that that's a topic of serious interest to the county, and your co-op stands ready to help pave the way, working with providers that are going to be offering end services. Next slide, please. So just a couple quick reminders. We have a really strong mobile apps that can provide updates of power outages and those types of things, and bill reminders and all that convenient stuff. So if you're not signed up for some of those programs, please contact us or take a look at the website and consider getting connected there. Next slide, please. And then again, I mentioned earlier the co-op's annual meeting. That will be held virtually again this year. That worked very, very well last year. That'll be on August the 11th. So members can participate in multiple ways. They can mail in their proxy, which some of those are already being received. They were mailed back at the beginning of the month. They can submit a vote electronically online if your email address is on file with the co-op. You can go in the mobile app that I referred to, the Smart Hub, and you can submit a proxy vote there. And then also members can participate in the actual virtual meeting itself. So again, we had over 20,000 member owners participate last year. We're hoping to keep the turnout really, really strong. And I would encourage you all as owners and as stakeholders in the co-op to participate. I come to my last two slides here. Regarding member satisfaction, your co-op earned a 17th place overall in J.D. Power's national rankings of 150 utilities last year in terms of overall satisfaction. Our team, and we're very, very proud of our team was 5th in customer care. So that's out of comparisons with some of the largest utilities in the nation. Next slide. And then this is my closing comment. We, like many other utilities, are facing dramatic retirements, and we're having 25, 30, 40-year veterans of the co-op, folks that built the system, designed the system, that have built the member service and member care systems. We're seeing them retire in dramatic numbers. About 20% of our workforce is in a 5-year window of retirement, and that's well underway. We've been seeing that for about the last year and a half. So much to the extent that we hired a full-time recruiter to help us with all the placements, which involves, in many cases, internal promotions as well. So I would just let everyone know that as you have friends, family, colleagues, children that might be coming up through academics or through the local schools, let them know about the possibility of a career at REC. We're extremely a dedicated group, but also providing a really fantastic mission and work-life balance for our team. So with that, I know it probably took a little more time than I was allotted, but thank you all so much, and I stand ready to answer any questions you might have about REC.
All right. Thank you very much. I like you pretty quick on this. Who has questions for Mr. Hewitt? Anybody?
I got it.
Yeah.
Voice. Surprise.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Hewitt, what was it about 3 weeks ago? I guess you did a Q&A over the phone.
Yes.
Was it? And that was the first one. I've had been invited to many of those before by different things. That was the first one I ever decided to participate or listen in on, basically because you had presented to us back in March or April, and I thought you had something to say. So, and I appreciate it. And it was very informative.
Good.
I also, for those of you who don't know, if you go the Director of Election the director election thing is made very easy and accessible online. I did it today. That's another one. I got it. So, and by putting in my vote today, I qualified for $250 was it award or a drawing at some point. So it's very easy for those of you who haven't done it. Go on in there and check it out. What percentage of Madison County does REC cover approximately?
So we're about 7,500 meters. I don't know the total number of dwellings, if you will, business and residential in the county, but I can get that, but it's a significant portion.
Yeah. On the outage notifications, it's great to get that. And so I'm in town, I live in Etland, so I don't have internet access, don't have cell phone access. So I don't get the notifications till I get to town. By that time, I already know my electricity was out. But
Right.
When I get here, it does tell me why it's out and an anticipated time that it's going to come back on, which I appreciate very much. Of course, I can't communicate that to my wife, but we'll get that worked out one of these days. And last but not least, the Roundup program that you all have, I would like to have an option to do Roundup plus $1 or Roundup plus $2.
So
I think it's a great program.
fantastic. So that is an option. You can.
Oh, it is
There is a
already?
write-in option. Yeah, and we can have somebody contact you about that. But there is the ability to do that. There's kind of the straightforward check the box for the monthly reoccurring roundup. There's also the ability to do the write-in if you'd like. But yeah, thank you for all the updates and sharing kind of your experiences with other folks here and board supervisors and members of the county or citizens of the county. But really appreciate that. We do those town halls a couple times a year. It's a random out dial to about 50,000 of our members, and we hope that more than a few thousand will stay on the line. And those are an hour-long sessions, so we don't keep everybody till the very end. Sometimes we're up against whatever might be on TV or people's family needs at home. But we found that as a good way to connect. And if you do participate and we aren't able to get to your call, we do follow up individually with every member that has a question on those sessions. Thank you.
That's all I got, Mr. Campbell.
Your fourth slide on this says that 28 employees, and specifically Madison. Are those employees that are assigned to Madison County or
That live in the county.
live in the county?
Yes,
All right.
so, right.
I'm shocked it's not more than that. No, I can't think, frankly, and I don't really have a question for you, but I really can't think of a company that has reached out to the community as much as REC has. We all know Mr. Price, who used to come to our meetings. Hopefully he'll come and join us again. And always had any kind of thing he could add, he would throw one in, and we appreciate that. The majority of your guys that I see of your guys, I can think of one he's 20, 21 now, and I understand he's going through a 5-year training process with y'all. A lot of your guys are real young in Madison, and they're so decent when you see them out in public. It's just they're part of the community, and I think that's how neat is that, from our provider.
Yeah, we are extremely proud of our team members, and just remember, there's always maybe a focus when there's a storm or something of the hazards and the difficulty, because our team is getting called out in the middle of the night. They're up on the mountain. They're in the toughest conditions, summer, winter. But set all that aside for a minute. On the prettiest day of the year, on the most calm, April, no wind, 70 degrees outside, birds chirping. Even in those situations, the work, particularly that our field team is doing, is still some of the most hazardous work you could ever do. It's energized conductors, it's heavy trucks, it's in construction zones, it's up in the air. When you see those folks, just remember that they put a lot into serving, and they're extremely serious. We as their employer are doing our very best to keep them as safe as possible and make sure they have all the right tools. So, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Hewitt? Anybody? John Shearer.
I'd just like to say, from the fire department's perspective, we work a lot with the linemen, the foremen, all emergency incidents, everything, nothing but top-notch people. Professional is as high as you can get.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Ewing, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Wood, on up and tell us about where we're at with Firefly and I guess Madison County.
Sure. I hate to go after John Hugh.
He does such a good job. And Madison County is very fortunate to have so much of your area covered by Rappahannock. They are not only one of the larger co-ops in the state and in the nation, but they're forward-looking, forward-thinking co-op. And with the leadership, even with the change that they went through recently, and Mr. Huey, you couldn't have landed with a better leader there. He's one of the stars of our industry, which makes it hard to follow. Plus, he dresses better than me. But I'll talk today about Firefly a little bit. Firefly, okay. I wasn't sure the presentation made it here. I didn't have Firefly all the way up here. So anyhow, Firefly is a wholly owned subsidiary of Central Virginia Electric Co-op. Just to remind you, we talked about some of this last time, but we are a growing company. We have about 20 employees presently. We actually have about 25 slots, but we're in the middle of recruiting a few, and we have a few more that we're getting ready to advertise. We have we're closing in on 10,000 connected accounts. Firefly right now has its office is in Palmyra, Virginia, is where most of those employees who are in the office work out of, but a good number of them in the field, and they're spread across the Central Virginia territory because that's where our members are right now. We will probably be adding folks in north of Charlottesville as we grow up in this direction in terms of field personnel. Officially, they're headquartered in Colleen at the same location as Central Virginia Electric Co-op. That's where we get our mail and things, but we have a couple of the employees of Firefly here tonight, a couple of the leaders. Dennis Reese is our general manager. He works out of Palmyra and came to us from Citizens Telephone down in Floyd County, where he had a long career, although he joined them young. He's not that old. And then one of our newest employees is Judy Winslow, and Judy's over there. Judy's been with us a couple of weeks. She's in charge of all of our communications and subscriber contact. She'll also be in touch with local elected officials as part of her role. And she came to us from working for government, local government. Then in Smithfield, she was Director of Tourism and Economic Development. So we're really excited to have her join our team. With that, let me talk about our project. So we're looking at a really big project this summer. It includes 12 counties. On the map there, you'll see green areas and red areas. The green area is Central Virginia Electric Co-op territory. Firefly has worked with the co-op. The co-op's building that fiber out. We had a 5-year plan to build all of that green area out. We'll finish it next year, and mid-year, that'll be 4 years. And that's about 4,000 miles of fiber. This year, we're looking at the red areas. The red areas are outside of CVEC footprint. In all 10 of the counties, you can see some of the counties, the red covers more than others. And we're right now defining exactly what is unserved in all of those counties. That's what we're doing this summer. And let me talk a little bit more specifically about Madison on the next slide. Now I've got some different colors. So in Madison County, the red area up there is Comcast and where Comcast serves. And we have identified that and done some field work in addition to the work that we were able to do with information from the county. The purple area is where we know that we want to serve, that in unserved areas of that. And I want to ask you today about the green areas real quickly. So the purple areas, if there was any other funding that came from the FCC auction, it came to Firefly. We gathered, had an award in the southern part of the county, or to Starlink and Elon Musk. They're not considered viable providers by the state, so we're going to include them in our area. If you look at the eastern part of the county, that was an area that had an FCC award to a company called FiberLight.
It's for radio service at 100 megabit per second. We've tried to get in touch with Fiber Light. We'll try a couple more times, but we haven't been able to catch up with them. And then on the left-hand side is CenturyLink. CenturyLink received an award. The left-hand side covers about 630 or 40 homes in that green blob. The right-hand side is about 450 or 60 homes. So it's about a little over 1,000, maybe 1,100 homes in those two. The grant program in the state this year allows any grant applicant to include areas where other companies receive the FCC award. We can ask for funding. The company that received the award from the FCC has the right to challenge our application. If they do, they have to agree with the county and have a written agreement that they will build out in 3 years instead of 6 years to have it pulled out of our application. That's fine. We don't mind who serves rural areas, but it speeds that commitment up. The FCC only requires them to build out in 6 years. So if we include them, and if they show up and have an agreement with the county, we would pull those out of our application. They would build using their own technology within 3 years. But I need to make sure the county's comfortable with including those areas for 2 reasons. One, if you already have a relationship with them, we don't want to upset them. 2 is when we add it in, we're going to add in the extra cost to build there, and we're going to ask you for some funding, and it's going to be extra funding in those areas. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But the map's important as far as those 2 areas. Let's go to the next slide. Our partners in the county here, Rappahannock is absolutely an essential part of the build here. Our partnership with them is the whole reason that we're here, and Madison County will play an important role. And we may have Dominion. I don't have them on the slide. That's because on the next slide, I have the answer to a trivia question. How many electric services does Dominion have in Madison? Let's go to the next slide. 142. So just about the entire, I may have that off. That was gathered today from it's a public source, and one of my staff members grabbed it. But it's a small number. Rappahannock serves by far the largest piece of the county. We will include Dominion customers, Dominion Electric customers who are unserved. That would be in our plans as well. But by far, it's Rappahannock that serves most of the folks here. By our estimation, we have about 2,145 unserved locations, homes and businesses in the county. That's in that purple area plus the 2 green areas. Okay. We are still defining those. We've got a little more testing to do and some things, so that the number could go down a little bit. It's unlikely to go up, but there's some chance it could go up a little bit as well. Unserved is anyone who does not have a speed greater than 3 megabit per second upload and 25 megabit per second download. So if you're served at 3, you can be you're still unserved. You have to have more than 3. With this plan right now, we'd have 250 miles of fiber. The construction would start in the summer of next year. The VIDE program, I've got a slide next that gives a schedule, but they will make announcements in December. By the time we get the design and things up and running, it would be next year would be into it. It's a 3-year build-out plan. Preliminary budget is about $15 million in total dollars. We would be seeking from the state in the neighborhood of $4 to $5 million. My initial estimate was 4.2. Actually, that may go up. The counties will not go up. What I've used is $1,000 per passing. So whatever number of passings we had. So if you remember, I said we have 2,145 unserved, and there's about 1,100 in those CenturyLink and Fiber Light areas. So the county needs to think, are we ready to fund this if CenturyLink and FiberLight don't challenge, and it'll get built out as part of our project with fiber? Or would you rather leave those set aside? The FCC requirements does require those companies to build to those areas within 6 years. So if you do nothing, they're required to build or to give the money back. CenturyLink did give some money back. The last time this happened, they had the money for 7 years in parts of the US and gave some money back and said, okay, we're not gonna build there. We've changed our mind. So the one way to make sure it's built is to include it in the project this year. And if they're serious about building, they can come give you an agreement with the county to build within 3 years. That would be our recommendation. That's what we're basing this on. The next slide gives you a quick look at a schedule. I won't go through that too much, except the 14th of September is a critical date. That's the date that our grant application is due. So next month, we're going to come with a firm estimate and a request that you be in or out for this grant application. I know that's a fairly short timeline and it's a big number. If you decide you're not ready, we'll step aside and look for other funding opportunities down the road. But I will tell you that this is an excellent time to be pursuing the construction of rural broadband. The VATI program has $50 million set aside right now. On Friday, the governor is going to make his announcement about how much additional funding the governor's office is going to ask the General Assembly to set aside in their special session from the $4.2 billion the state's getting in American Rescue Funds. And I expect that number to be a pretty good sized number. So that'll happen at 1 o'clock in Abingdon on Friday. I know because I'm going to be there. They actually asked me yesterday to come and speak at it. I'm hoping that's a good sign that my application, would they ask me to come and speak and then turn my application in? Maybe, but anyhow, the couple of quick things, and this is kind of it's not a marketing slide so much as just the facts. The service that we would provide up here in this program is the same service that Firefly provides everywhere. Same rates, $49.99 for 100 megabit service, $79.99 for gigabit. Really simple, no contracts, no data caps, no slowdowns, no cost to sign up if you sign up when we're in the area building. And I think the question came up last time about long driveways. Our plan right now is to go a half a mile anywhere without additional cost. If you're over half a mile and you're low and moderate income, we're going to find a way to get you connected without cost. If you're not low to moderate income, we may ask you for a contribution once you get over half a mile on your driveway. That's a pretty good driveway. So we don't think there'll be that many people that will run into that. John's house probably a little further, but no. One other slide that we're working with the county. We want to make sure we get our website out. We're doing a survey of anybody who lives in the counties that we're working in this project in that believes they are unserved. They can go to the website, give us their address, tell us if there are people who say they have service in the area and they've tried to get it and they won't connect them, or if they have service and it's not adequate speed, they can do a speed test. And we can use that to help justify our application should it be challenged when we put the application in, whether it's from a wireless provider or somebody providing DSL or those type things. So we have that up on our website. We're going to be making some noise about it in the media, trying to make sure that anybody who is unserved, make sure that we know where they are so they can be included in the project. With that, it's a great time to build. We have great partners to build with. We think this is an important project that'll help us get over the hump and really connect everyone throughout the area within this 12 county region. So we hope you'll join the project when we come back next month and ask you. And let's get ready to fly. Any questions?
On your map, Mr. Wood, you had basically half the county that didn't have a color.
I'll be glad to talk about that. Yes. So if we look at that northern part is actually, that is an area that the FCC had in the auction and was awarded to Shintel. for radio service. And I should have said this earlier. Shentel has given indications that they are planning to build sooner than the 6 years. And if they are, then we can't include them as far as grant funding in that area. We have a pretty good relationship with Shentel and we'll confirm that with them. If not, we can handle that part of the county the same way we're looking at doing CenturyLink and FiberLight. They have a radio product up there that they bid into the auction. But they're a company that's fairly reliable. I shouldn't say fairly reliable. They're a very reliable company. And I think that their radio service may be a little better than some because of their technical capabilities as a provider. So that's why it's not included right now.
All right. You said that you go up to driveways a half a mile. The way I understand it is you're basically tacking this fiber above ground on poles. My house is not a good example. A different house on my farm. Power line doesn't go down the driveway. It comes in multiple different ways. How does that?
So good question. I shouldn't have said down the driveway. We will be on the power lines, and where there are overhead lines, we're going to follow the overhead line, and we'll go there as far as the overhead goes. If we go underground, and there are places where you drop underground and run a long ways, we'll go the first 2,500 feet.
We are talking about essentially what you're saying is including CenturyLink and whatever the other FiberLight. You're talking 2,400 people.
It's about 1,100 in those two.
But
including that 2,400 homes and businesses in the county that are unserved.
That you would be potentially covering.
Yes.
So we're talking about $2.4 million, $1,000 per resident. What is the mechanism for the county to pay those funds over? Is it before the project starts, or is it after it commences? Is it in stages? How does that work?
It's in stages during construction. So the grant program will have an agreement, and we'll get you a copy of what that'll look like. But as we build, we will, and I say we, it'll be we and Rappahannock, and Rappahannock will actually be getting these dollars since they'll be owning the fiber. I would think that we've done this before on small projects and just completed the project and then requested the funding. But for a project that is this scale and go on a couple of years, about once a quarter, we will come back to you and say, here's how much fiber we have in service. And if your funding is 15% of that, we'll ask you 15% at that point. And so it would be forwarded to us over the period of construction. It's not all up front or.
Multiple reasons I asked that, but I also think with the art funding, if we can draw down, which I understand a lot of people are or a lot of counties are doing funding with that mechanism. But from the initial draw, you have to wait a year for the next draw. Is that right, Ms. Murray? Yeah.
From what I understand, it's like.
So the drawdown will be gradual, so it just gets billing essentially.
Right. Now, I think let me just stop. I'll quit telling you what I think because I haven't studied that close enough. My impression was that you could draw the funding down, so you could draw all of it in one draw that was available and then wait, and there's another round available and draw all of that. You didn't need to draw it as you spend it, but I may be wrong on that.
No.
Okay.
Well, so the question is, well, I guess, so Mr. Wood, it looks like it's, first of all, the 50 million, the General Assembly put aside, that is not included in the 4 billion in the ARPA funds, right? They're separate. Okay. So I thought, and then it looks like you got a VATI versus the FCC a little bit here. And from what you presented, it sounds like, the VATI grant would require the Federal Communications Commission awardees to accelerate their program. that's kind of unusual for it to go state pushing the feds instead of the feds pushing the state. Have I got that right?
It is, and that's part of the governor's and the state administration's work this year to try to push to get as much broadband in as fast as possible. And they saw this as an opportunity to bring the awardees to the table and make them build a little quicker. And I think it'll work. So we'll see. It's different.
Other question?
Comcast,
Yes, sir.
can you go into their area? I mean, you're gonna have to come up in order to go to some of the other places anyway.
Right. So grant dollars cannot be spent serving anyone in a served area. So if they already have Comcast availability, we can't spend grant dollars to run fiber to their house. That's the short answer. The other piece to this is because we're going to be following the power lines, if the power line's on one side of Comcast and has to get to the other, it's got to go through the territory. So it will go through the territory, and we'll be working with the Rappahannock, but our intent would be to treat the Rappahannock numbers the way we've done Central Virginia, which is anywhere that fiber is up, we make it available, but we don't include that in part of the grant application, and any money we spend to connect them will be private money. It will not come with any grant funds.
You're offering twice as much service for people that are on Comcast for half the price.
I can't comment.
Chuck, we expect to read about that. Other questions?
I have a question.
Yes,
Sorry,
ma'am. Yeah.
so I haven't said much stuff, but where are the boundaries for the green and the parks coming from? Because I could identify, for example, my parents' house, and they come off the power line in green. So how
So-
does that work?
The green areas here are the census block groups that the FCC used to decide where to make funding available. And going back about a year and a half, the FCC looked at where people claim to have service available. Anywhere that an entire census block didn't have a single home being served, they put into the auction. So then they go by those census block drawings, which might go by creeks, they may go by rivers, they may go by transmission lines, they may go by roadways. They're not drawn necessarily any one landmark. What we're hoping to do with the survey is we know there are people just outside of there who also unserved, is get those people to let us know, because then we can extend that boundary out and make sure we get every unserved home. Okay, thank you.
So I got one more thing. Yeah, so, Mr. Wood, you're saying that those of us in Madison, we should get the word out. Go to Firefly's website, take the survey.
Yes.
And that will help give you all the data that you need.
If
So
you
when we wake up in the morning, that's one thing we can do.
That is absolutely one thing you can do. Every unserved, every person who doesn't have good internet service can get to a place that has good internet service and do the survey. Use your phone.
They want to, they need to do it from their home if they can't, they know the access.
So if they have internet service and they're doing the speed test, if you don't have internet service, you can fill it in from anywhere because you're not going to do the speed test. If you're doing the speed test, we need it to be from your home so we can see the speed. If you come to the county government offices and fill it in, it's going to give us the county offices speed.
And if you do it from home and you have cell service and you don't have home internet.
Then it will tell you in the survey not to do it. If you have cell service or satellite, we don't need it. We just need it if you're connected by wired service or by a fixed wireless provider. But I didn't want to get into all the details, but that's what they are.
Chuck and Gracie want to. I think they're gonna send it to us to send out to.
Right. We should have a press release, I think, going out, so we're hoping to be in the press. We'll see what type of response we get, and if necessary, we'll do a little town hall or something that'll just help raise the profile to make sure we get as many people to give us the information as possible. So we won't use it for, we're not going to take your information and sell it to a marketer. We're not going to do strange things with it. We just want to use it to help justify making sure you're in the area.
Clay?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. You touched upon this, and Mark also has touched upon this meeting with us. But I'm not clear on the division of labor between REC and Firefly. My understanding is that REC will string the fiber using its employees. What is Firefly?
Well, there's a lot of detail that goes into it. And John can speak to some of this, but we anticipate that there are going to actually be a lot of contractors doing a lot of work. So I don't know that REC is going to really build all the fiber, but they will be owning the fiber. So there'll be contractors that will be building, contractors doing the design. Firefly will be leasing the fiber, providing internet service, operating the network. We will be providing all of this internet service. So if your service goes out, you call us. If the fiber breaks, we're in charge of making sure it gets repaired. If you want to change speeds, we're the internet service provider. So if you want to think of it, John is going to build a nice facility for us to lease and do our business in.
Good. Got one more? Mr. Wood, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For coming. We'll look forward to hearing from you in about a month.
All right, thank you.
I have one more thing though.
All right.
Could you speak about the July date, because actually the intent to apply, we're gonna be covered in that.
You will. So one other thing about the mechanism for this, we are going to put all the counties in one large regional application, and the Thomas Jefferson Planning District will be the lead applicant. So you will see an announcement from the Thomas Jefferson Planning District that they intend to apply for a grant that'll have the 10 or 12 counties in it. And that's all we need to do in order to identify that we're going to be applying for the grant. So we don't need additional work from the county at that time. Then the Thomas Jefferson Partnership will also be administering the grant. So during the grant, during the construction process, when we talk about the funding coming out in quarters, we'll be sending information to the Thomas Jefferson Partnership. We'll be approving that the work's actually done and getting state money and coming to the county and saying, okay, this portion was done in Madison County, so we need the county. So that'll be the way that it gives you another level of review of the work as part of the grant application or grant administration.
Like one other comment that does your work behind the lecture. Hardy, just to respond to the comment you made, there will be a press release that I understand we're getting it in draft form today, or have gotten it. And it will presumably describe the process participating in the survey.
Very good. Look forward to seeing it. Look forward to seeing you all in a month. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks, sir. All right. Mr. McGrath, come on up.
Hard to do this kind of backwards with the mic behind us here, so put out there like that.
That's okay.
We okay? All right, so I appreciate, I'm here to do my annual presentation on RCS, some of the accomplishments over the past year. Talk very quickly about our operating budget and some initiatives in the coming year. I only have about 50 slides, so I promised I would be very quick, and we'll fly through them for you.
15 seconds, this slide, move on.
All right, and I can do this quick, right? All right. So just kind of keep up with me as best you can on the slides. It works fine for me. So I do want to just publicly acknowledge, though, first, the work of our RCS staff during the past year. Most of the world closed down. We never did. And I think, as you will see in some of the things that we're able to accomplish in the past year, we actually thrived during the past year. So just looking back in fiscal year, really, it was all about COVID for us. Closing of our congregate sites resulted in about $1 million in reduced fees for us during the past year. In spite of this, we had no staff layoffs, we had no staff furloughs, we had no reduced staff hours during this point in time. And really, we transitioned all to remote work sites. And during this time, staff productivity remained extremely high. We even adapted, I think, greatly during the last year. Really moving to a telehealth, becoming a primary mode of service delivery. Saw some very positive outcomes from that. And I think the conversation 2 minutes ago is really pertinent, and the struggles that we had with that, with our rural areas, people seeking treatment. Our congregate sites all really transitioned to outreach. And just a couple little things, our senior centers converted to a home delivered meal program. We delivered over 39,000 meals to people during this time. Additionally, we started hearing about people having long-term effects of being isolated during the pandemic. We offered some online resiliency trainings, and we had 2,765 community members actually tune in to our live resiliency series on how to keep and develop skills to get through the pandemic and different coping skills. The past year, we also saw, I think, a lot of call for criminal justice and behavioral health response changes, and it became a real focus in our community. We actually piloted an embedded behavioral health clinician in the Fauquier Sheriff's Office and the Town of Culpeper Police Department, funded by some grants with the PATH Foundation and some other organizations. And really the goal of this program was to divert people away from the criminal justice system. And I shared a couple success stories in there that I'm not going to read, but please read them. I think it really shows dramatically. We say this all the time. Law enforcement should not be in the behavioral health business. Law enforcement agrees with that. And by us being able to have a behavioral health professional, we're able to avoid conflicts, we're able to keep people safer, and just save tremendous local resources. Additionally, as we talked about a few months ago, we were chosen as one of 5 pilot locations in Virginia to pilot the Marcus Alert legislation, and there's some information out there. I did include the membership of our collaborative planning team. Just and highlighted the people from Madison County. Clarissa is on that team, Brian is on that team, and Troy Estes. And frankly, I think this is the best part of the whole thing. We have people who have not been in the same room discussing these issues, and I think this is going to be the long-term effect of this group talking about the real issues of behavioral health and law enforcement will make a tremendous difference. Additionally, we have, as requested by the planning team, created a voluntary database that is in place. That was a requirement of every jurisdiction, and that database is up and live. Members of our community can go to our webpage. They can put information into that system that we will be able to share with first responders. And again, for first responders, we know information is critical. So, hopefully that website will get some more publicity on that website in the near future. But I think that will, again, really help law enforcement first responders as well. Additionally, we have mobile crisis teams that will be coming into play soon in our area, a regional crisis call center, and the C Recovery Center will be opening. We'll talk about that very quickly. Again, all of these programs are in place to help us divert resources away from law enforcement, divert resources to community services to keep people out of the criminal justice system so they get the help they need where they need it. This past year, our board really spent a tremendous amount of time and effort looking at prevention activities. This year, we'll have 417 employees, I believe, budgeted. We have 2 part-time staff that are funded for prevention. We spend, again, 410 staff treating everybody. We need to be spending a lot more than 2 part-time funded positions, keep having needs. And so a strong emphasis by our board to really look at prevention activities and some initiatives that we'll be doing in the coming year as well. Just a couple other little highlighted points. We now support housing for over 150 homes. We have a transportation grant that was coming to play where seniors, I can't say seniors, I have to say older adults over 60. And my senior manager gets mad at me every time I say that. Yes. I'll keep going, Clay. I'll go fast. As well as people with disabilities will be able to call our transportation call center and be able to get a round trip transportation to medical appointments and critical appointments that they may have for $5 round trip. And again, with the lack of transportation in our area, that's hugely critical. And I think round trip to Charlottesville for an appointment is $15 or $20 round trip. So again, really important. Our Project Link program has prevented 20 kids from going into foster care. We are working on the planning for drug courts in Madison and Orange counties, as well as Culpeper County, and so on and so forth. This year, I think we also can really strongly report on stewardship of our resources, particularly our employees, who are by far our most valuable resources. We completed a diversity, equity, and inclusion assessment of the organization, and we're really proud of the results. The consultants we used really, I think their comment was diversity and inclusion are felt throughout the organization, which I thought was an excellent result for us as an organization. We did recognize the hard work of our employees, and the board authorized a one-time payment to all of our employees in December of last year. Additionally, we secured a payroll protection loan at the beginning of the pandemic, which provided tremendous financial security for us as an organization. And we received news last week that that loan was fully forgiven, which again is tremendous for us. And again, I'm just going to skip through the other ones. It's in your handout. You can read through them. We do have some new programs that are coming on board. The most important one that I really like to spend a second on is the C Recovery Center. C stands for Support, Encourage, and Empower. And the C Recovery Center will be an immediate access point for members of our 5-county community that we serve. Right now, if a member in our community is in any type of crisis, you have an option of hospitalization, although with the commissioner's statement last week that they closed the state hospitals to admissions, you don't even have that anymore, or the ECO, TDO process through law enforcement. The C Recovery Center will be a 24/7 program that will cooperate with law enforcement, families, and other first responders to allow a separate option where people can go. They will be seen by, we'll have licensed people there 24/7. We will have 24/7 peers. And again, diverting people from law enforcement, from the long ECO, TDO process, especially for people who are not at that level of care, but get in that interventions before it does. And there's a whole list of the services that will be available at the C Recovery Center. A lot of peer support services. There'll be specialized veterans, service veterans, military family supports. We will do mutual aid support groups, NA, AA, those types of groups, and those types of things.
Where is it?
We have a program called Visions that is closing, which is in Culpeper. It's a program space we already own. So that's where we'll be located, about a mile or so from the hospital. I did put our numbers into the report as well for you, so you can see the number of people we expect to support. I broke it down by total as an organization, as well as Madison County. Madison County accounts for about 7.8% of our population. I didn't do all the percentages, but you can see some programs we're a little better at. Some programs, you see our numbers are a little lower compared to the percentage of our populations. There are, certain numbers I think that really do stand out to me. We'll support about 1,000 people in our outpatient clinics. We'll provide case management to about 500 people and so on and so forth. And you can just read through all those numbers. They're public for you. I do want to also point out some of our prevention activities, because I think people are kind of surprised at the trainings that we provide in the community. One of my favorite numbers is we have prescription drug take-back boxes in all of our counties. And based on the pounds of returned prescription medications, there's a formulary. They say that those returned medications will impact 152,000 lives. And we know, getting medications like that off the streets is just incredibly critical. And again, you'll see, we talked about, we deliver about 40,000 meals last year, which is down for us. but still a pretty hefty number. Our budget for the coming year, I listed our board established certain goals for us, and you can read through those. Additionally, you see the management priorities as we went to establish the budget this year. Predominant upon those were increases for our staff and meeting our board identified goals. So for this year, our budget comes out at about just under $32 million, $31.7 million. Of that money, that's about a 15% increase, or a little over $4 million. For us as an organization, a $4 million or 15% increase is a huge increase for us organizationally. Of those sources, I can't say how much I appreciate our local counties who stepped up in just a huge way for us as an organization last year. Our state funding increased about 22%, and our fees went up about 18%. And there's a nice little pie chart there to break that down for you. Our expenses, we're a human service organization. Our money goes to our staff. This year our staff will be receiving, or have received, a 3% salary increase. However, we also have a budgeted 2% one-time payment to staff in December. Our goal was a 5% increase for our employees. Because of the uncertainty of the pandemic, we weren't comfortable carrying over 5%, not knowing what next budget year has in store. But if things progress the way we hope and expect them to do, we'll just roll that 2% into the base pay next year. We added 17 full-time positions within the organization, and you can read through those. Additionally, one of the things that we were able to do is, our biggest challenge is being able to hire and retain licensed clinicians. There's a huge statewide, huge national shortage. CSB work is hard. And especially for licensed clinicians, you can go into private practice and make more money. And so we were able, once again this year, to increase the base salary for our licensed or license eligible clinicians by $5,000. Also in this year's expenses, we have a very heavy push to increase our IT and technology for our staff. We also have put into our budget $100,000 for a program development reserve fund. Throughout the course of our budget year, we're always getting approached for new projects, never have it budgeted, so we'll have a little reserve fund there. We also budgeted $50,000 this year for a scholarship fund. We can't hire enough clinicians, we're gonna grow our own. And so we will be doing, it's anticipated, we're still working out the details, but we will be doing $5,000 a year scholarships for members in our 5-county area looking to go into the human services field. And if they are in graduate school, our goal is to hit that $10,000 a year. So, and you can see there's another little pie chart on where we spend our money, and as I said, it's mostly personnel. We have, as far as some quick announcements, we have returned to our pre-pandemic operating procedures in most areas. We do still have telehealth as a primary option for people, but we are also incorporating the positive outcomes from telework with some of our staff into some of our new practices. We have hired an associate executive director, a woman named Cheryl Reinstrom, who we'll be bringing around in the fall, will join us. She will be predominantly working with our intellectual disability areas and our aging services. We talked about the scholarship program. We're currently working on a feasibility study for our Bradford Road office. Our administrative building is in need of significant upgrading and repairs for a lot of reasons. We have a new website that's currently in development, which will, we believe, make it much more accessible to the community to find what they need. And next year marks the 50th anniversary of us as an organization. There's some controversy now on the date. So depending on who you talk to, it's July 5th or it's October 30th. But we will figure all that out in the next year, and we will obviously. So there you go, Clay. 40 slides in 25 minutes.
No, did really.
We've got a better system coming. We only have to bear with this junk for a little bit longer. Thank you very much. Who has questions for Jim? We all did see that they were closing down multiple state hospitals. I mean, where are we? I mean, and your C's program seems like a great idea. And then having the 100K for programs that are unforeseen at this point. I mean, it acted at least as an incubator until you get to the point where you can add them in a budget if they are feasible.
Right.
What's your plan on this? Good deal.
The closing of the state hospitals for new admissions on a Friday afternoon without pre-notice to community partners, so we could plan, put things in place. Trying to use my words carefully.
No, it seems completely irresponsible of the state in today's society where mental health is mental health and substance abuse and kind of where people are in their most vulnerable place.
Right.
It seems completely irresponsible of the state to go down this path, even saying that hopefully the private sector will accommodate this, but this has been such a problem for such a long period of time. I mean,
This doesn't sneak up on you on a Friday afternoon. You know this is coming. You have conversations with people who can help you. And those conversations have not really been fruitful. I think it is something bad will happen. Law enforcement cannot be expected, nor do I believe they have the legal authority to hold people indefinitely under custody while they are waiting for a placement. I have heard reports around the state of at the expiration of timeframes, people being let go. And, you know, the people that are in this point in time, you know, we often say, this is the worst day in that person's life. And to not have systems in place and not have contingency plans for this, I think is unconscionable. We have tried. I had a meeting last night with my behavioral health director to say, what can we do? I'm open to anything at this point in time. Our challenge is the custody issue. I think people are aware, we can take custody. We have security to handle custody for one individual. There are code challenges to allow us to hire law enforcement. We can't do that. We have word out to the security company that we use, and they're trying to hire more people. And maybe there was a potential that we could add to our capacity to retain custody. But again, the issue is in our 5-county area. We have 2 hospitals. Neither of them has an acute psychiatric bed. We talk to them on a fairly regular basis, and they have expressed that, at this point in time, for either space or other reasons, that it is not an option for them. We approached the Department of Behavioral Health about 6 months ago with the proposal that we wanted to create a crisis stabilization unit. We were told our capacity or our volume in our 5 counties was too low to support a crisis stabilization unit. We approached the Department of Behavioral Health about 4 or 5 months ago with a request to increase our CIT to a 24/7 program. We were told your volume doesn't support a 24/7 program. So we will continue to try, but it's not a good place right now. And just the Virginia spends 75% of its behavioral health dollars on its state hospital system. That ratio in about 25% on community programs. Where Virginia gets itself into so much trouble is it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't build a community behavioral health system, then you need the state hospitals. In states where they have a robust community program, the state these issues don't get to the point where people have to be TDO'd and ECO'd into the state hospitals. We are 3rd in the nation in that. We are behind, I think it's Montana and North Dakota.
we're 3rd on the bottom of.
3rd on the bottom of the
Yeah,
list.
there you go.
Yep. Yeah, it's not the 3rd you want to be on. No. And The, request, from what I understand of the Department of Behavioral Health, of ARPA funds that will come to behavioral health, have been to increase the state hospital capacity. It is the wrong approach. Those funds and the CSB system has put out that we believe the behavioral health funds should be managed at the local level to manage local capacity, build local infrastructure in need. And this is frankly, the ARPA funds are our opportunity to flip that system. And I'm not overly confident that the Department of Behavioral Health sees that.
That's a good assessment. Capable. Who else has questions for Joe? Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Have a good night, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Kind of puts things in perspective a little bit, doesn't it? Consent agenda. We have minutes from June 17th, June 22nd. We have bond proceeds from the Madison County Primary School project, or invoices related to the bond proceeds, excuse me. We've got Norman Smith and Clark X. These are a little bit out of order since CIP is meeting tomorrow. The school board approved these last night as well, so it is right at our level.
We have some supplements, Ms. Frye.
When Michelle sent those to us today, I think they should be on your flash drives.
All right.
Some of them are the requests that the animal shelter that Megan Day will arrest.
Yes, ma'am. Michelle?
Give a little info.
You'll need copies.
Yes, ma'am. Apologize to everybody and working on such things. All right. We do have the list. Does anybody see anything? Do y'all want to add this to the consent agenda? Question specifically for Michelle.
I mean, this Kim, it looks
Like, most of the stuff we have approved at one point, so,
Absolutely.
It was approved at the last meeting. It just needs to be moved from fiscal year 21 to 22 so we can actually pay for the purchase orders. We're in 21. We just need the funds.
you need to encumber it.
Encumber them, yes, so we can get everything paid and get everything taken care of. It's basically for just the shelter so we can get some heating and food and stuff on. It's everything's been approved. I just need to encumber the funds so I can make the checks out to everything.
Would you all like to make a motion to add this to the consent agenda? What Michelle just said?
Yeah, so moved.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now, back to the consent agenda with these items. Anybody have questions, comments, thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda
As amended?
as amended. Thank you.
Second.
All right, motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Thank you. All right, we've got some resolutions. First, we have one from Mr. Hobbs. Ms. Hoffman, are you online? Would you be interested in reading Mr. Hobbs' resolution? I agree with you. All right, I'll read Mr. Hobbs's. Ms. Hoffman, we cannot hear you. Hopefully you can hear us. All right. We have a resolution for Mr. Hobbs. It's, whereas Jack Hobbs has diligently served as County Administrator of Madison County, Virginia from September 1st, 2017 through July 6, 2021. Whereas the County Administrator, Jack Hobbs, has served as the clerk of the board, provided input on financial, technological, and software updates, assisted with compilations and finalizations of the county budget, as well as provide extensive input on various county school capital projects. And whereas Jack Hobbs' intricate knowledge of local and regional and state matters has been invaluable to the board during his tenure. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Madison County, on behalf of the citizens of Madison County, hereby express a warm appreciation to Jack Hobbs for his loyal and effective service as the County Administrator of Madison County, Virginia. I want to make a motion to adopt this. Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Same sign. All right. Now a little different one. Sorry, Ms. Fry. Ms. Fry is going to be with us till Friday. We do have a resolution for her, and it's whereas Mrs. Jacqueline Fry has diligently served as the clerk of the Board of Supervisors of Madison County, Virginia from 2003 through 2021. Whereas while as clerk of the board, Ms. Jacqueline Fry has served to assist the Board of Supervisors in countless ways, from organizing our extensive list of volunteers and liaisons to various organizations, prepared minutes for seemingly endless meetings, advertised every meeting and direction the Board of Supervisors has taken, prepared, and acted without complaint to draft multiple resolutions, correspondence, and agendas. Whereas Ms. Jacqueline Fry, mostly behind the scenes but always smiling and welcoming, has been a person of great character and acted as stability for all while under pressures, and through transition of the county, both good and bad. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Madison County, on behalf of the citizens of Madison County, hereby expresses its great thanks and appreciation to Ms. Jacqueline Fry for her loyal and effective service as the county clerk of the Board of Madison County, Virginia. And of course, since everything in here is floor, we also have a chair for you back there. Couldn't think anybody would do it.
Thank you. I told them I'd do this, and I did anyway. Thank you. I have enjoyed my years. You know, some of you all I've worked with the whole time. I'm glad to see Dan here because Dan, Stephanie, when I came in here, Tracy, it has been an honor to serve. And I hope that in some way, whoever I have had the opportunity to help, I hope I've done a good job of doing that. I have had a good time throughout. And you all will be fine in the future. I think that's your mama. You've got an excellent group of people. Everybody works well together. It's a family. I will be here. I will be testing.
Bill, Bill Krugler's here, who's on the board.
Yes.
When you hired Ms. Fry.
Yes.
He's one of a kind. I want to see y'all up the creek without it.
I gotta share the story. Bill Krugler over there gave me the best piece of political advice I've ever got. He said, when I got elected, he said, I'm sure you'll make decent decisions, don't really care. One thing. I said, all right, here we go. Just be nice to Miss Fry. That's really good advice in my life, man. I hope that's your whole lot. Thank you. Would somebody make a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Good.
Thank you, Ms. Fry.
No, any questions?
Second.
Who seconded that?
Oh.
There you go. No. All right. Noah. EMS staffing and defibrillators.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm gonna do my monthly report too.
Okay.
So June was busy, 172 calls, 10 minutes was our average response time. Went to Green 3 times, we requested 4. Orange requested us for mutual aid twice. We went there twice trying to help our community partners. So did Culpeper. One of the requests I have this evening is to request 1 FTE position. This isn't an ad. We have a full-time employee that unfortunately is having health difficulties and will likely not be back. And we're short-staffed. So I would like to move forward with.
Anybody, the way I understand it at this point is this person is on basically leave at this point.
Right.
Medical leave, and if they were to come back, of course, we would welcome them back. But right now, short staff, anybody have any issue with Noah going ahead and hiring somebody to fill that position? No. You need a motion or, I think.
As long as I get it.
Sean Gregg on here is gonna tell me we need a vote, but it seems like a. All right, Sean Gregg's on the phone. You say we need a vote, Sean Gregg?
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, what's the board want to do?
Mr. Chairman, I move to add an FTE to the MS staff.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, Noah.
Thank y'all. I've got an update on our ambulance shelters. So we had our second one installed a couple weeks ago. Without getting too detailed, we have condenser units on the ambulances that blow hot air. And all we're doing is circulating hot air up to the roof. It comes back down and we recirculate it. We also need to have electrical wiring placed in the second ambulance shelter. The quote that we got was $4,200 to install 2 fans, one in the first shelter and then one in the second shelter with the electrical system. I've reached out to other vendors. I've not received additional quotes following the county's procurement policy. So the only quote I have currently is a local vendor at $42.
So you're gonna put exhaust fans on the sheds and electric so that they can stay appropriate.
Right. And the struggle is the Office of EMS and the Board of Pharmacy have temperature requirements for the medications, also the equipment that we carry. So extreme low, extreme high impacts that. They're getting.
Quite the shanty village over there. All right. What would y'all want to do here? I assume that this will have to come out of contingency. You don't have it in your budget at this point. What would y'all like to do on this? I would assume that we need the fans and the electric to keep everything going in the right direction.
We say 4,200 covers both the fans and the electric?
Yes, sir.
So how you gonna continue to look for some more? I mean, can we do a not to exceed, you think, $4,200 and
Yeah,
then
that's the request, not to exceed 40.
look for 2 more quotes?
I will continue. Like I said, I've reached out and
How long have you been trying to solicit quotes?
3 weeks.
Do not exceed, you made a motion that do not exceed over 4,200. I think that would be sufficient. John Gregg, is that sufficient?
I believe so.
There you go.
Very well. Mr. Chairman, I move that we set a not to exceed of $4,200 for fans and electric for the ambulance carports, sheds.
That works. Yep.
Second.
Made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, defibrillators.
I'm gonna do one thing real quick. Employee mental health have a committee. We've met, thanks to John and the group. We're still working on that. So that's a work in progress. I hope to have an update. This is a mental health program for not only county employees, but also county volunteers for that. It's a need. We have a couple good current options, but we're looking into it.
Yeah, that's real good.
Site study, I reached out to Patrick Prophet twice and haven't heard back. So I'll give you an update on that. Defibrillators, thanks to Gavin, who wrote our Rescue Squad Assistant Fund grant. Unfortunately, we were not awarded. He did a good job. There's only so much money that goes around.
I tried last.
Yeah, so I want to read this to you. The idea is AEDs save lives. And we've seen that here in the community with the coach that went into cardiac arrest and was defibrillated and is now alive. So sudden cardiac arrest, or SCA, is one of the leading causes of death in this country. According to the American Heart Association, SCA claims the lives of over 250,000 people each year, more than all forms of cancer combined. Approximately 10% of SCA events occur among people less than 40 years of age. Since 2018, MEMS responded to 68 SCA events. Many SCA victims would be alive today if the community in which they live had a strong cardiac chain of survival, which is early call to 911, immediate initiation of CPR, early defibrillation, and early access to advanced cardiac life support. In an effort to begin working towards becoming a heart-safe community, MEMS is seeking funding to add AED devices to more public locations and county emergency vehicles. We're seeking to add AEDs to our emergency services chief and deputy emergency services coordinator vehicles that are frequently the first to respond to major events, incidents, and all hazards. One would be added to my vehicle. The fire department needs one. Ms. Fry has asked for two for the new admin building, the 410 building. So the gist is, the more we can get out in the community, the courthouses here, time is everything. And we're looking to purchase 10. That's what we put in the grant for, was 10. And the cost of that is $19,092.50. Did you have?
$15,992.
And again, we were hoping for grant funding, but we can keep trying, but I think we can show that these truly do make a difference.
Yes, sir.
For 20 years ago or so, there were lots of media, opportunities, federal opportunities, when hospitals and doctors' offices were making donations of these types of machines. Is that an avenue that we should consider pursuing?
I'm not aware of that. You can certainly ask, but I've not seen that.
They say they don't know, and they have not seen it.
Not recently.
Okay.
Not recently.
All right. Well, if that's not the case, never mind.
There you go.
It would be nice.
Yeah, Parks and Rec's got one. What?
They put one in the front.
Yeah, it's been there even before the incident with the coach from Rappahannock.
And a couple more things, we would offer the CPR training. So we just became an authorized training site through the American Heart Association. And we'd maintain these AEDs with our department.
What y'all want to do on these?
Oh, did you want to talk about the technological side of these particular AEDs?
Not right now. They're good. Say a lot. It's complicated. I don't want to.
20K is a pretty good show.
Well, no, I mean, okay, in here you were saying, our proposal is to request from the board 4
Yes. So
But that's because the other 4 were coming from the grant.
my initial thought was that would be the match.
That would be the match.
So
And then the 2 that you talked about in here for Jacqueline, that makes the 10.
yes. Yeah. So plan A was we didn't get the grant, but we had budgeted for that match. And whatever that match would be, we would get 4. After further discussion and convincing and teamwork, the ask was for 10 because, I mean, this is a public gathering right now, and the closest AED is in my vehicle. There needs to be an AED in the courtrooms. Any large gathering, the fire department.
You have one of these with us? We had one that went out of service, but we're hoping that this is gonna buy us one. If not, we're gonna have to figure out something else. Also, I was just gonna say, if you've ever seen one of these in real life, I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's a big deal. I know it's a lot of money, but when you can reach up on the wall and see somebody basically who's dead, you know.
We're looking to become what they call a heart-safe community. We've got a number of AEDs that are already out there that are very aged. And one of them already went out of service that was up at the firehouse, so one of these would be for the firehouse to replace that one. And they're gathering all, none of the courthouses have them, so we want 2 for across the street, upstairs and downstairs. The social services doesn't have one, they sort of tell you a certain population that's there constantly. We're looking at John's car and Brian's car. Frequently, they're the first ones on scene at events. I can't tell you how important it is for that chain of survival, that early shock. We've already seen it this year. I can't understate how important that is, or overstate how important that is.
We carry one on the rescue engine, but we would like to get one back in the hall for events. You know, a lot of people have, so one right there, which we had one, but.
But Noah, let me ask you this. So just because you have one somewhere, somebody's got to know how to use it too, right? What does that take?
It's easy. It's very straightforward training.
It's
Literally open it up and it tells you.
It's looking like it is much easier than suspected. I'm with you, Corey. We're all.
So it's not just as easy as break the glass, right? I mean.
Yeah, so AED is an automated external defibrillator.
Yeah.
The automated part, it tells you what to do.
I've got to be able to read pretty quick though. Oh, it talks to me?
It talks.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they're going to be putting milk in plastic jugs.
Guidelines, so that's what we're talking about.
I can tell you exactly on these, they're warranted for 8 years. The pads last for 4 years before they have to be replaced. So you only have to buy pads for it twice unless you use a set of pads. The technology on it is such that it actually will talk to us if it's in a wireless environment and tell us what's going on while we're en route to the call. You can get data from it. And, I mean, it's a very sophisticated device.
Hey, Steve, so has the rescue squad got any grant avenues or whatnot?
We have the same avenue that they have through the same rescue squad assistance grant.
Yeah, I thought maybe being a 501c3 would give.
No, it's the same. I mean, we're both members, and these are grants is initially through TGIMs, and then ultimately is rewarded through the state. And basically what it is it's a portion of the Six for Life that goes to a fund for the RSAF. We just got the new ambulance through part of the RSAF. And
the American Heart Association, they don't. All right, so it looks like 20K. 10 of these life-saving, super simple devices.
So where are they going to go? One more time, I'm sorry. Where are the 10 going to go?
Sure. So firehouse, Brian's vehicle, John's vehicle, my vehicle, 3 for the courthouses, 2 for 410 in the admin building and social services.
Okay, so we got.
I guess the schools already have them.
Yeah.
So the only, I mean, it's a no-brainer in my mind that we need to have as many as we can get places where they make sense. And a lot of these public spaces where we're meeting are absolutely where we need to have them, as well as Brian's car and John's car and your vehicles and the emergency response vehicles. And I think it makes sense to me. I think I have a bad.
EMS would sort of be the coordinator of where these things are. Somebody needs to make sure heads square out for whatever happens to them before you have to be swapped out and other things happen. So I like the idea of having one central distributor and caregiver like you guys. I guess that's what
We're currently doing.
you're currently already doing that. So that's the way to do it. I didn't.
These machines and headset, we're actually able to wirelessly monitor every device.
The question I was going to ask was why is the court system made? Why is the court services have that? The schools and everybody else.
Valerie. The state doesn't do those?
Not that I'm aware of. I've never heard of it.
We have in our United States.
Yeah.
We've got two. I don't know how to. I don't know they fill EMS. But they're no brainers. If it makes sense that that's who we have to do it, with you guys, it does make sense to one central department. Our department. I just hate hitting us again for 20 grand.
Oh,
Should we look at that going forward if we put it in?
But absolutely, the problem is, the question, I guess, that's in front of us is, do you want to wait till the budget cycle? Or do you want to proceed with it now? I really want to ask Michelle, where are we going to find 20K? Somewhere, good.
And how do you talk to them to monitor them? It's gonna be SIM cards for every one of them? Gavin?
What's that?
It's gonna be SIM cards for every one of them?
No, it's wireless. So as long as there's internet access, we'll set them up on a Wi-Fi. And a question.
That's the question, is where to get funding from, honestly.
Mhm.
I mean, and the timeliness of purchase.
Or any of the federal programs, can that be covered with monies that we get?
It looks like, who knows? We know that we're getting $2.4 million from this ARPA funding. It looks like a substantial portion of that is probably going to go to internet coverage. Yeah. So the answer is no.
I agree.
I was at the track full, so we can ship 34 of them out there. We all want to do.
Yeah. And I don't think this is something we can overlook, unfortunately. So, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve 10 defibrillators for not to exceed of $19,992.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Second.
That's too quick. This is super important. I mean, it's a loved one. You know, and we have seen it work. And it happens every day with folks that have the ability to do that. That's what we're here for. So appreciate your support.
All right, motion made and seconded. Further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
That's all I'm asking for this meeting.
All right.
That's it?
This meeting. I'm really hoping one day you just walk in here with like a suitcase of money, you know? All right.
I would just like to say, Mr. Chairman, on this, like the Northern Piedmont Community Foundation, PATH Foundation, Culpeper Wellness Foundation, all of those are avenues to look for money for something like this.
REC?
Huh?
REC?
REC. So, I mean, obviously, we're gonna need more of these, right? Noah, where'd he go? Oh,
Yeah, and I'm very open to just that, like, where can we
Okay.
go to look for funding?
all right, I'll look, I'll ask. All right,
Any ideas, yeah.
This is just the first batch. I mean, we want to explore local surges and other places that we can place. So we will be looking at private opportunities to fund.
how much are they a piece? I can think that, $1,900.
Yeah, 1909.25.
All right.
See at some point.
All right,
I
let's
might
see,
have funding.
get some funding for more.
Next year.
All right, county officers, department reports, committees. Brian, you're sitting over there. What's going on in EMS? Or not EMS, but dispatch?
I got to have a meeting with AT&T last week. AT&T, there's an overlook when they start looking at our equipment. We need twist lock receptacles in our cabinets. So I went to the state, they approved us for reimbursement. Long story short, I just need to add $893.80 to my budget so that we can reimburse it on the backside. So it's going to come back to us as soon, practically as soon as we spend it. But
Everybody good on the 890? Great. Okay. All right. Yes, sir.
Radio project's coming. We are rebidding all site work at Hughes River tomorrow. 7 vendors that AT&T, Motorola has chosen to be up there to try to get prices down that site work. And then again, towards the end of the month, they're being category.
Thank you, Ron. Did you know, Valerie,
Yes, sir.
how's social services?
Social services is quite well. I have a few numbers for you today. The department has been providing medical assistance in the month of June for 2,943 people. We are providing SNAP benefits to 933 people. That totals $206,526. We currently have 20 children in foster care. That is incredibly lower than it has been historically. We have been doing some really good work getting children reunited with families and or moving them forward with adoption. We do have 14 children over 18 that have signed on for continued services with us that with COVID special circumstances, we're continuing to assist. We have a local program going on right now to try to get all Madison County school children who are eligible to get a new pair of shoes to start school. So the Kicks for Kids program is going on. We got some new federal money to start a prevention program locally. So we're excited to have hired a new person that is going to head up some services and a whole kind of focused intervention to prevent kids from having to leave their home and to focus services on prevention instead of being reactive. So some exciting stuff happening.
Since Cardi asked you last time, I'll ask now, are your doors?
Our doors are wide open
There you
as
go.
of July 1st. All our services, all our benefits, the public is in our building full time.
All right, any questions, Valerie? Daniels?
Sir, you want to talk about cigarette tax now or wait?
Hey, do you have anything else to say?
Moving forward on, met with the Benzie guy today, moving forward on software implementation. That's all looking good. That's about it.
All right, does everybody want to hear the cigarette tax thing since you already talking? Ryan, go ahead.
All right. I don't know if you looked in your packet, I'll look here, but, I guess the, cigarette tax for the county is kind of moving forward. Thomas Jefferson, and you guys signed the MOU to move forward with, potential implementation, Thomas Jefferson District. 6 other counties participating, possibly the city of Charlottesville is kind of hanging on the outside. I don't know if you're interested in the numbers, but, you know, they're looking at 23% of the population, which gives you, I guess, estimated average number of packs sold per person is 23 packs per person, giving you 313,000 cigarettes sold a year, 40 cents packs per pack of cigarettes sold. You're really looking at net revenue of around, based on their projected numbers, around $40,000 to $50,000 in net revenue. About a $10,000 operating cost per year, with 60,000 projected in again, so their kind of timeline that looking at, is Madison County going to join? Are we going to participate? They're looking at having they would like to see an adopted ordinance by August, September. In reality, I think they realize that most localities aren't going to be able to get that done. So it's going to be September, October by the time that most localities will be able to actually sign on and have an adopted ordinance and actual MOU with the district to actually participate. Again, that's something you need to keep on your radar coming down the pipe. I'm sure we'll get model ordinances to you guys. Sean will be able to look over. But again, there is the option of just, we can be the hotbed of cigarettes tax or cigarette sales, and we can collect the sales tax on them if we opt out and all the other counties opt in. But again.
So are these other counties already participating? They already have this tax?
No.
They're just joining, or they're just starting to?
They're just starting to. So legislation opened it up for the counties to now be able to participate in cigarette tax. Previously, only cities could, with the exception of a couple of counties. Anyway, everybody's trying to get it done so that January 1, they can actually implement and have people on staff. Thomas Jefferson District have people on staff that would actually implement the program and administer it. Again, it's they're estimating about a 6.6 rate of return based on cost versus revenues, which is pretty close to like Northern Virginia, which they have one that's been in place for 30-some years, regional board that they administer. So the numbers don't look terrible if, again, they're projected numbers. So, yeah.
No action tonight, just some resolutions.
Just keep it on, okay? All right, thank you.
Anybody else, Brian? Thank you, Brian. Michelle, how's finance?
We're still there, and we're still paying bills.
Good. All right, anything to report?
The only thing I have that's sort of going on beside our training and different things, I sent to Sean Gregg's office an email to Liz trying to take care of an upcoming sort of purchase order. I know that you and Cardi are aware of some of that, and I have not heard back from their office. I sent it Friday, and I reached out again yesterday. Still have not heard back. We need to get that taken care of because it's holding up some
Sean Gregg,
stuff.
have you heard about this purchase order from Michelle in finance?
I have reviewed it. Not with any hope yet. Its existence.
All right, you're gonna review it soon?
Probably Thursday.
There you go. Very good. All right, Thursday. Anything else, Michelle?
Everything else is doing well right now. Looking forward to upcoming move and other changes and projects going on.
Good. 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 All right. John Shearer.
All good in emergency management. I guess everybody's kind of noticed a little uptick in infections, but overall the infections still remain low. everybody's aware of that Delta variant that they keep talking about, although they say that if you've been vaccinated, and shot up, you wouldn't get sick from that. I can tell you that there's discussions, conversations going on about booster shots in the fall. Just conversation right now, nothing right. So with that, I guess also working with the state on some of their requirements. They just got all kinds of hoops for us to jump through, so checking their boxes off as they send me stuff to do. And then we got some ongoing projects with Brian and Noah and the fire department on operations and stuff like that, which is stuff I like. Mental health, talked about that. Working on that. Still waiting to hear back about the EMS facility and the study and all that, so hoping that goes through. The van ordinance, working on that a little bit, seeing where that falls out. And the last little thing, just so you know, one of our favorite intersections Saturday morning, Oak Park and 15, another car crash. Fortunately, 2 people were transported, but their injuries were not serious. Just another rookie thought.
I've been down through there. Did they put up rumble strips or clean away the brush at the? The rumble strips certainly can't be super expensive. I mean, good lord. Do we need to?
We voted to do it and let Charleston residents do that. Of course, that is a U.S. primary road. I wonder if there's something that superseded the county's authority. She heard it, she took it. And Louisa, it's funny, but Louisa residency maintains that particular route. She would have needed to have made that to the residential. Yeah, I wonder when I drive through there, I don't see one because I know we discussed it. If there was something about it being primary system road, our votes get superseded by the state.
You go down here at Shelby, that's on a US highway.
On 29.
Yeah.
You're correct. I wonder if VDOT did like that. I can't come up with
Brian, you want to reach out to Shepherd, see what she has to say.
I thought we already reached out one time, right?
We need to reach out in a more assertive way. I know they're spending a lot of time down at the swinging bridges, but maybe they can make this a priority. That's several so far.
And this one, like I said, Brian will tell you, when you do that intersection, you're always thinking, oh, this is not going to be good. And fortunately, Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, and they weren't seriously. They were transported by Noah's troops, but
I live out of Oak Park. And when I hear siren time, exactly.
So, and lastly, just talking with Ms. Graham the other day, we're hoping that the primary school is completed, and talked with Valerie. We're going to go out there and just kind of make our plans for a shelter. Their main county shelter should we need one. That's kind of the plan. But we're going to wait till after the fair and all that stuff gets over to kind of tackle that.
All right.
That's it.
Very good. Roger?
The building at 410, we're hung up on some mill work, and we got some masonry to do. Get another call tomorrow. Know a little bit better tomorrow about moving date. I'm hoping the week of the 26th, but I'm not holding my breath. I would like to be there for the next meeting, and I'll give you an update in a week or so. I did miss something on my budget. I need to encumber $3,840 from 43,200, 8241 line item. It's the reseeding of the trees at the transfer station. there was one patch that was, late being harvested and it was sprayed along with the first batch. So the undergrowth didn't get killed good enough, so they're gonna come back and actually do manual pulling up, stuff that's too close to go. So it's $3,840 I just need to encumber from last year.
It's the first, hand message. So
Yeah, from my palm
that's the
pilot.
first one I've ever seen.
I got on my palm pilot.
Our operating strongly. Do we need to do the encumbrance this evening? Can we do it in just and let Brian sign administratively for this? What would y'all like to do on this? What was the number again, Roger?
$3,840.
Yeah, 3,840. Got it.
Enough for two defibrillators.
Let's play to the board. 38,240 encumbering for tree.
Thinning, tree thinning.
Move to direct Roger to fund the $3,840.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Michelle, take care of this. Not Roger on the encumbering. Does that work for your motion, Kevin?
Thank you.
Yeah, all right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Everything else going well?
Yes, sir.
That's the way to be. Ligon?
We're ready for the parade tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. All right, we're gonna do all these. Yes. Well, Ligon's coming up here and they brought up, I can stand there for a minute, but we're gonna go through a couple more real quick. The ribbon cutting at the school is August 4th, the new primary school. They want people to come to that. And Monday, the teachers actually move in. I have no idea, they didn't say. But August 4th, they're doing a ribbon cutting. All right,
Do they want the assistance?
probably. I don't know if they have the ribbon either. There you go. All right. Ligon, you mind if we kick off a couple more people real quick?
Yeah, sure.
I apologize.
No problem.
All right. Who do we have? Livingston, anything going on? I know you've been up at 414 a lot.
Well, what Roger just said about the next meeting, that would be good for Jen. If we can't, we'll be back here.
Yep.
But it's obvious it's Millwork holding that up too. Like getting the microphones installed. CCTV went in there this week. So that's done. I think Michelle's working to get the two little lines for the fire alarm, which is important, obviously. We can't open without that. The other thing is the ERP project is starting to kick in, the Tyler thing and all the system administration. I got training tomorrow for 4 hours and I've been working with them on it. And I guess that the new finance director will be the other system administrator because it's a lot. It can't just be me. Like if the defibrillator don't work or nothing, you might need someone else to help with this stuff. So, other than that, Office 365's on hold and working with the domain people out there to get all the domains added before we can do that. So you guys volunteered, but we couldn't get started yet. And that's dragging on and on. I don't know what Jack did before he left with the $33,000. Now we're gonna pay for the fiber run from the E911 to 414. It's all signed, all approved, but I don't know if that money got, what do you call it? Scoop up and move it, scoop it up into 22. Did he, does anybody know anything about, because that's coming up for payment too.
I think it's on. All right, just encumbered it. Talk to Michelle. Hopefully we've got that right.
That's it.
Thank you, Livingston.
Sure.
Ms. Loud, how's courts?
busy, and June was a pretty amazing month for us because we did 277 land records and sent $153,455 to the state. That's the most that we've sent since I've been the clerk. And for the county, and then $64,012. And for my office, reimbursed the county for the copier money and the bank fees and my part-time person, so I sent an additional $11,682. We had about 13 suits filed and 26 concealed handgun permits. We had our first jury trial since COVID. Wednesday, it's only scheduled for one day. It ended up going into the second day, but I think all in all, it really went smooth. We have some things we still have to work on, but I appreciate Bruce coming on too. Helped kind of make sure everything was lined out with the technology part of it, and that went perfect. It couldn't went any better. I'm also happy to report that on the Shenandoah National Park project that we're working with the Piedmont Environmental Council. Our intern started today. Her name is Victoria Garnett. She's a Madison County girl, and she is completing her master's in library science with extensive education, photography, and collections management. So we're really excited to get with her. The Library of Virginia, one of the directors came, went through some of my books, started talking to him about this project, and he looked at me and he said, I think I have 3 boxes that is Madison County that has to do with the park. And I'm like, I want that. And so he went back to Richmond, and there was 3 boxes. He had sent them to me, and they've got some pretty cool maps and papers in there. So she was excited. I was excited to go through those today. So we're real excited to get that started.
Ms. Murray,
Yes.
what's anything going on in your office?
Well, today we met with Greg from Affinity, so we went over some things, just getting ready for our new software integration. Going through the system, doing some settings. There's been a couple conversions, looking at a lot of the detail. Dollars and cents is not there yet, but looking at some of that. Also, I made you aware, but I wanted to make you more aware that the fiscal year 22 budget, on the revenue side, there was a change made to it that I picked up on last week. Where $525,000 was added as far as real estate tax increase. Probably that full amount should not have been budgeted. And I just want to make the board aware that was not something that I knew, and that it's possible that we may end up in a situation where we have to take money from the unrestricted fund balance if we do get into a situation. We will do our best. But I can tell you that we never collect the first year 100% of what's assessed. So, but and I also know not to budget that. So just want to let you know, because I don't want it to be a black eye on mine or Brian's department. But otherwise, everything's going well.
Thanks, Ms. Murray. Yeah. Me too. Is Clarissa still over there, Nan?
She's gone.
All right. All right, who, without everybody talking, is representing the planning commission?
Well, it's my turn, but if any of the.
No, they cannot.
Huh?
Look, you have, Peter Work already commented. Is he still there?
He's gone.
But good. One person can comment. If not, it's a legal meeting. So one person comment, one person only from the planning commission, please. Nan, you're up, go.
Okay, Lincoln has pages and pages and pages and pages of stuff for y'all to look at.
Yeah.
And not all of it, I think, has been through the planning commission for recommendations yet. So, I guess, do y'all have any tasks for us?
I think some of this stuff may be going back to you. Yes, ma'am. Well, anything else going on with the planning commission?
No, we didn't meet, they had the workshop meeting, we didn't meet the first. So, no,
There you go. Thank you, Nan.
concise.
Tracy?
Parade Fair Week, thanks to Roger and team and REC and Joe and the trustees for getting the town in shape. We've handed out notices for businesses and residents to know that the streets will be closed. I reached out personally to a couple for an extra meal, let them know their vehicles cannot be on the street during the parade.
Oh, there you go.
No, but I did.
Yep,
So, and we had a great meeting with Firefly this morning. And what?
You said who's gonna?
You've never seen me at the parade, honestly.
All right.
I will.
Firefly, got it.
Firefly, great meeting this morning, and I felt like I was pulling information to get him to say, because I wanted you guys to understand, they were going to give our intent to apply for that, so that we weren't missing any deadlines or anything. I mean, I think the public would probably agree that the quicker the better, and now that we have those funds there. Also, the judges' stand is where Brian and Alan sitting, so I think they may get to judge tomorrow night too. No. All right. Did the parade?
You should get invited to
The parade should really do it.
Yeah, that would be.
Can't throw candy at the kids anymore. I don't see the purpose. It's a great parade. Keep going. Getting Chuck to do it. There you go. Chuck's on it. Yeah.
The ribbon cutting at 29 Tastings was the 20th, but they also now have new hours, Thursday through Monday. So they're open on Mondays, which not many people are. The Mountain Museum, they did a great ribbon cutting and ceremony on the 27th. On the 10th, we did 2 ribbon cuttings for Loveworks, the official one at Prince Michelle and also one at Newports and Shotwell Run, which gets them on the Virginia's for Lovers website. So the 2 tenants, we had 80 brand new visitors in June, and I'm meeting a lot of people that are new residents. So I'm meeting some of these people that are buying up the houses that have been going off the market like that. About 7,000 page views to the website. We're still waiting on the final performance agreement for Revelation, but there's also another one in the works. And the next one kind of went through, I think I'd already discussed this too, and explained it with them. When the press release came out with Dominion, and we had to explain that we are getting one because people didn't think we were doing anything, so I kind of corrected that on social media. Area Acoustics in the old post office is still working with their architects and their build-out. The box-in, box-out building was sold, and new owners have submitted to a Fortune 500 company. Meanwhile, and I should have talked to Legan about it, but it's great. Dr. Fry did get in contact with her, and the cannabis situation is still in the running. The trial has not been, no decisions have been made there, so the license is still up for grabs. Just waiting to hear about that. Giovanna's is closed for a couple weeks. They're going to be under new ownership and getting a facelift right now. I'm going to a Thursday Quad County Business Summit meeting, but I'm now the 5th with Louisa Orange, Louisiana, and Green. And that's to help businesses, entrepreneur, they have a pitching type deal. And then Friday, Central Virginia Partnership for Economic Development in person. I think that's about all that I've got. A lot of it is with CareerWorks because everyone is hiring. And then on that note, we already applauded Mrs. Fry, but I stole this from the Freeze, and I'm going to say it again. And also, I thank you to Brian and Alan and Michelle, because we all feel for you with all the extras. But the whole world is short-staffed. Be kind to those that showed up. Ms. Rob for sure showed up. That's all. Thank you.
All right. I haven't missed anybody else. Legan, you're up.
So I'll try to go as quick as possible on these items. On the first one, the temporary event, outdoor musical and festival and fireworks. This was something that was talked about, I guess, a month or so ago, just brought to our attention, and I just sort of picked up the ball. We had a meeting with John and Brian and Clay and sheriff, we all got together. So I have revamped the existing 1978 ordinance, and you can see the red text where I have added items. The big picture and kind of as I was directed was to make this administrative. So I think the first thing to just sort of point out is that with temporary events, is that we're not talking about private events. Okay, so if you're having a party, this is, or a gathering, this is not would have any effect on those folks. It's for event venues, breweries, vineyards, wedding venues, etc. And you can see I have it broken down to category 1 events, category 2 events. And they also, I went back and added the fire and pyrotechnical displays. Again, making them, all these events would be administrative. Now, I looked at a bunch of different event ordinances, and my feelings, if you look at the very last section that I added, section 4-30, my feeling is if there is a large event, Woodstock type festival wants to come to Madison, I don't think we want to make that a administrative approval. So that's why I found this in another ordinance. I think it was another state, but I thought it was pretty common sense that if there is an event or a firework event that we just feel like needs to go before the board, and I say we as the zoning administrator, the county administrator, that the board can request to sort of review the event. So overall, submit an application. You can see I put an application, what it would look like for a temporary category 1 event. That would be 500 to 1,000. 1,000 or greater would be a category 2 event. Big difference is category 1 would be a zoning administrator, collect all the paperwork. You had to talk to emergency services. Do you have your garbage plan set up? All those things are kind of discussed, and we could administratively approve them. Big difference is one be approved by a zoning administrator, one be the county administrator. But I would imagine in the case, the zoning administrator and the county administrator work together on both. We did add the fireworks. Again, made that an administrative. And I talked to Brian, I've talked about a lot this week. I don't see it as we're looking to regulate people who are in Pennsylvania buying fireworks, firing in the yard. It's really for the venues that are hiring pyrotechnic sort of licensed people that normally go through the process of getting permits for their displays, would come to the zoning administrator. We have a nice, easy form to say, look, you don't understand the laws, the regulations. You've got to have this from the fire marshal, to have insurance, and just have them say, yep, got it. Review the plan, sort of what you do at the board now. So again, that could be another administrative sort of task. Other than that, any questions about the ordinance or any changes? I don't think Sean, if he's on the phone.
Yes.
Sean, I had one thing, a question about what about minimum lot size for events? I just responded that we really don't have it as a minimum lot size now. That's not in the 78 ordinance. I would just say if somebody brought in an event and it was for, 1,000 people and it was going to be on a 2-acre parcel, we'd probably have some concerns. So I just try to put a common sense approach to it. I don't think we really need to limit it, but it's something to think about. But any other questions or?
Y'all good on this one? All right, let's go to the next one.
But on this one, what we can do is, since this is not in the zoning portion of the code, is for the next August regular meeting, beginning of August, I'll just advertise it for that meeting.
What, for a bunch of these, one, we're gonna ask the planning commission to review. If Sean Gregg wants to do a formal, recommendation on them, and I think at our second meeting in July, we're going to advise you to advertise and do all of them all at once. Does that make sense to everybody? At the joint meeting with the planning commission? I was thinking we do it, I don't think we've got the advertising time.
We can do it for the joint August meeting. We still have
There you
time.
go. So is there enough time on between?
I have to get it in the paper by Friday, but we can advertise it for
This
August
upcoming
4th. And this is all these different ones.
You can go ahead, I guess, and advertise and plan on doing the,
Yeah, for this one,
For the
Yeah, they've got a meeting next week.
Oh.
You advertise it, changes to it, change the advertising.
No, because we can change at the hearing. And if we don't like something, frankly, we can pull it.
Yeah.
We just don't pass it. Yeah, let's go down that path.
okay, we'll do that for August. Okay, that sounds good. Now, it would really just be, this particular one would just be a board hearing.
All right, that's fine.
Okay.
That's
All
fine.
right.
Let's do them all together.
Okay, that's good. All right, so that's that one. The second one is the WCF and cell tower ordinance. And we were advised to look at amending this. And as I've said, we've halved it and from 6,000 words to roughly 3,000 words. I think all the pertinent, important things are in the existing ordinance. I mean, what the proposed amended ordinance. I have read this more than I care to talk about. I spent 2 whole days going through and editing this, taking out things that aren't necessary. I have carefully read the state code, which really not a lot when it could, honestly, federal regulations, which are pretty straightforward as well. And I think after reading this, I'm comfortable with what I've proposed. And if you notice on that second part where I had the highlighted yellow, that's what I will post on the website and sort of direct people to. That's the second, where you have the yellow highlights. That's just to every section, so you will know exactly what has been changed from the original. Sean had a few recommendations of some changes from are encouraged to the word shall. So he made a few recommendations that I'll go and make those changes. Otherwise, anyone has any?
Mr. Chairman, if I could comment, one of the things that I will be considering whenever I prepare my review letter, for lack of a better term, I'm going to pull the ordinances from some other adjoining counties and probably from Fairfax and Loudoun, just to make sure that what we have is comparable in the ways that it needs to be comparable. Those jurisdictions have, staffs of 20 attorneys, so they have vetted these ordinances pretty thoroughly.
All right. Thanks, Sean. Greg?
Sure.
So would it be okay to advertise this for?
Sure. I think so. And if we have to make substantial changes, we can take care of it. But I think it's important to get it on the books.
Yeah. All right. The third one, the well requirement. Now, this is in the zoning ordinance, and obviously cell towers are too. The well requirement, fairly straightforward. I know, Clay, you were at that meeting.
Yep.
The planning commission, I think the consensus, at least for the majority, was to remove the well requirement. This has been something that the building official has discussed since he's been here for almost 2 years, as being something that was sort of an anomaly that only Madison sort of stands out as requiring the well be drilled before you can get the building permit. I don't get emotional over it or have an opinion either way, but it seems as if a lot of people in the development community, builders, would like for it to be changed. And we talked about how well technology has changed and fracking, and I think Mr. O'Bannon discussed.
He's drilled 3,000 wells in his career, and Ethos was in Leon for thousands.
Yeah, and we can add some language. I think I'll go back and beef it up a little bit and just let be very clear that if you can't find water, it's not the county's fault. I don't see how it could be the county's fault. And again, I've always made the comment that you can't have a house on a cistern if that was the worst case scenario. I've seen it. I know it's possible, but what would the board?
Yeah, real quick.
Would the board be
Yeah.
comfortable moving forward with this? Or?
Yeah, I think so. I was called by the prior chair of the Madison Board of Supervisors and was given the history of this. So let me give you all the history real quick as to why it's in there. In the late 80s, we experienced a severe drought in Madison County. And at the time, there were 4 houses that were put up that they could not get water. So what happened was the folks imposed, or their neighbors let them do an easement and come over on their lot to drill a well. At the same time, in Albemarle County, there were houses going up that couldn't get water, and the Board of Supervisors in Albemarle were approached, and the citizens were insisting that they hook them up to public water. And so I don't know, and Mr. Jones did not know what the outcome of those lawsuits were, but that's why they stuck that in the ordinances here to protect the county from any possibility like that. But Mr. Work at the workshop, Planning Commission workshop, suggested putting a disclaimer on the building permit application to that effect, which I kind of like that idea. So anyhow, that's where it came from. That's why it's in there. But I
Who you say that name?
Well, that's the only meeting I've missed in like 4 years. So I wasn't there, so I didn't hear the discussion. Kay kindly took minutes, and it seemed like there were builders and developers who were in favor of it. And I've talked to a few people, and they were like, it doesn't really matter, you gotta pay it at some point. But then I talked to someone else who said, do it before, when they were building their house, they had to dig 6 holes before they found water, and there went their swimming pool, and it was being set aside. So that if you gotta have water, so go ahead and get that expense done, and know that you've got water before you put all your money and everything else. So, I know you're not supposed to be able to talk, but I don't know that that was decided, but I wasn't there.
But if we send these, I don't know about the person with the swimming pool, I don't understand that now. Yeah, I got that part, but water is much more important than a swimming pool. Who cares about a swimming pool?
They wouldn't have had money for their well, they had been in.
That's a better way to go. Send these back to the planning commission, let them review them, make recommendations, so at the joint hearing, we can kind of go from there. That would be the direction to go.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
Do you think is that one, just keep reviewing this one, or should it move forward?
We should put it in front of the planning commission one more time, just for their kind of head nod, yes. And then we can kind of go from there. But I would think we would advertise this one as well. Anything else on the well?
So you do want to advertise it?
Yeah.
Okay, for all. Okay, gotcha. All right, well, the other 2 are pretty simple. The political signs, April just went to a zoning training, and the attorney said, just get rid of all your little kind of ordinance.
Right.
So that one's easy, and the special use permits, I think, is just a, we can just delete that from the code. And then standards on special use permits. That was just something that I think y'all are aware of this. The Planning Commission worked on this just to kind of codify that if we do conditionally approve special use permits, just to have a language in the code that supports that. So that's kind of what we've been doing. So any issue with advertising that as well? Okay, we're good to go with those 2.
Absolutely.
The last one really hasn't been vetted as much, Bob, and that's the lot width. And if you look at that last one, I'll just put this on your radar. We'll review this more. I don't think it's something we need to advertise for August, but very last pages of my report, just a single family dwelling in B1. We don't have that in B1. Sometimes we get calls from underwriters and want to know if the house burns down, can be built back by right. And I said, well, actually, it's not in B1. So that's just a little housekeeping thing to add single family dwelling. The second one is a much more, I think, important. We don't have a lot of people lining up for family subdivisions, but you can't normally do. So it makes sense that you might allow a family subdivision to be a fifth lot on a private drive. And again, that's how it's been administered. I just think we need to, if that's the way the county wants to go, to codify it. If someone comes into the office, wants to do a family subdivision on a fifth lot on a single private drive, I just don't feel like I can approve it unless code says that's what it can do, what I can do. So if the concern is if you do a family subdivision, you have to hold that for 3 years before you sell it. Now, we don't sit down at the courthouse and can tell if someone transfers a family subdivision. Maybe a compromise can be if you do a fifth lot on a private drive is you have to hold it for 5 years as opposed to 3. That might be a compromise. But just something we can talk about in the future.
Yeah, I think that, Mr. Chairman, I think that one, there's some experience on the planning commission with this one, so I would like to hear them hash that out a little more.
And they just haven't got it somewhere yet. Just be real clear and talk about that. That's not the rules. There is sometimes the rules are very similar, or more than that.
That's right.
And we just need to make sure that we're clear on that.
Right. Yeah. We just need to have clear exemptions for family subdivisions, if that is going to be an exempt. The last one is the lot width requirement, another one we haven't had a lot of talking about. I just have seen the lot width, have a lot 200 feet. And people want to subdivide it, but they can't subdivide it because you don't have the 250. Lots that are able to be subdivided are kind of a premium. And I just see the lot width, I guess, as applied as being sort of arbitrary. If you want to make setbacks greater, that's fine, but as long as you have minimum lot size and meet the setbacks, I really don't know why we throw the 250, it's just for ag. For C1, it's 300, why why the width is really a big concern. As long as the house can meet the setbacks, I just see the width as kind of being a way to sort of superimpose a longer setback on the lot and make some lots that really, there's no reason why it shouldn't be subdividable, buildable, non-buildable, other than just one lot. That's another something the planning commission can talk about and bring back in another month or so.
Wasn't Sean Graham's original comment about VDOT and road frontage? So you don't have these irregular, kind of weird shaped lots like you've seen in the past?
Yeah, we have a rule on pipe stands. You can only, you can only be,
I think it's 300
feet. Right. So you can't do we don't have a road frontage requirement, which is typical in.
That one should go back in front of the planning commission and we'll do the review as well. I really don't think we're at a point to advertise the change for that.
Yeah, I think the family and the road.
Yeah, that needs to step back, but the other ones, let's advertise and go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm shaking my head, Kevin and Amber, because going to the planning commission's workshop, I think it needs some more review.
Work.
Yeah.
Everybody good on this?
All right, so just for a quick review, in August 4th, we'll do temporary events, fireworks, and we'll do the well and the WCF cell tower. We'll do the well requirement, political signs, and SUVs. And we'll also have a public hearing, just as an FYI, off Fishback Road. Mr. O'Bannon wants to rezone a piece of R1 property for storage units. So I'm working with him right now on it, right by the wastewater plant, sort of that road he owns. Him and some partners on that piece of property and all of that kind of down there. He's looking to rezone a portion, 6 acres, to do storage facility. So that will be the August 4th as well. That's it.
We have questions for Larry. Hey, look like you have a comment back there. All right. Mike?
Mr. Chairman, are you gonna hold us to the illegal meeting? Members here.
No one has discussed business. No one has discussed business. Faye has not discussed any business. Mr. Work isn't here, so I would guess that you're okay at this point. What do you think, Sean Gregg?
We don't care.
Peter's gone. Nan is here. Faye is here. Faye has not discussed any business at all. And Mike is in the back, Moscow.
Duration.
There you go. No. No, sir. Sorry, Mike. You've been caught on that one. That's a bad one, you know?
It's gonna cause problems in the future, so.
All right. I don't know a way around that. There's no way around that. That is law and.
I had no idea everybody else was so short tonight.
Emailed me their comments because, as I indicated, I'm going to be doing a position paper, for lack of a better term, on these issues, and I will incorporate any comments in that.
Thank you. Mike, does that work at all?
I don't think so.
All right.
I got a suggestion as the chair of the planning commission and the chair of the board of supervisors. All y'all to.
Yeah, we can communicate. Would that help?
Yep, yeah.
All right. I will be in touch. Very good. Sorry. Yeah, not much we can do about that one. All right, we're done with all this. Opioid settlement resolution. Mr. Gregg's got something prepared.
I do.
It is.
You can read the resolution as soon as I find it again. I'm happy to read it if you'd like. But here's kind of where things stand. As I think most of you know, really the big offenders in this, the Sackler family and their company, they filed for bankruptcy. And in the process of it, now there were lots of other companies, Mallinckrodt, Johnson & Johnson, several other actions that are companies that are named as defendants in the lawsuit. As a result of the Mallinckrodt bankruptcy, the matter was referred, and Purdue Pharma is the Sackler family, and that's why you see the name Purdue Pharma in there. But as a result of their filing, there has been an adversary proceeding and some mediation associated with it, and ultimately a settlement has been reached pending the approval of the stakeholders, specifically the localities that were part of the suit. Now, you'll recall initially when the lawsuits were brought, we didn't have any involvement by the state attorney general's office. After it looked like there was going to be some traction in this, the attorney general's office intervened as an additional party plaintiff. And that was allowed by the court. It wasn't just the Commonwealth of Virginia. It was basically every state in the country who was participating in this litigation. The upshot of all of this is that the way the settlement has been structured, the lion's share of the money is in fact going to the Commonwealth of Virginia. And it will be administered, to those of you who have any familiarity with the tobacco litigation, the funds are to be earmarked for certain services and provided to the localities that way. But another portion of the funds is going to be allocated to the Attorney General with the direction that it be allocated to the various localities. Optimistically, we are probably going to be getting something in the neighborhood of about between $35,000 and $40,000 in this. This is not the end of the story, however. This is one defendant who filed for bankruptcy. So there are lots of factors that are resulting in this being a smaller settlement than we were hoping for. I would note, though, that if we get that, that would certainly pay for the defibrillators that we were talking about, and to the extent that tobacco use causes heart disease, there's certain logic to that. But in addition to that, we should be getting funds as the Mallinckrodt suit settles, Johnson & Johnson settles. We'll probably be going through this same process with each of the remaining defendants. The consensus among the attorneys is that they really, the pharmaceutical manufacturers really do not want these matters to go to trial. And so that's why there is cautious optimism. Abstain. I think the best approach for us strategically is that we approve this resolution. We send it out to council either tonight or first thing in the morning before 10 o'clock. And if somebody can get me the signed resolution and just send it to me in a PDF, I can take care of that. But my recommendation is that we pass this resolution as written.
All right, does everybody, what do y'all want to do here? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, anything you want to read?
No, we don't need to read it.
All right, I move to pass the resolution authorizing the county's outside counsel to vote on the county's behalf to support the proposed Purdue Pharma bankruptcy plan.
Discussion, that sounds like that's an appropriate motion, 100%. And Ms. Fry, I need to come in and sign this thing tomorrow morning so you can get it to. All right, that's fine. Yes, ma'am. All right, motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you, Mr. Gregg. You'll get something in the morning.
Okay, thank you. And as a matter of personal privilege, I would like to thank Ms. Fry for her teaching to do my job whenever I came in. She has been nothing but professional and polite, and she's been a joy to work with.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
All right. Okay. Mr. Gregg, all right. And you can say your piece, Mr. Gregg. I'm going to summarize from Mr. Murray's side, I guess. And I apologize, Mr. Murray, on the disposition of surplus proceeds of tax sales per Code of Virginia. This was in reference to the estate the lady had not provided proof of previously, and now she's outside of the time constraints, the 2 years. She also, still to this date, I don't think has validated that she is, or verified that she is actually an heir to this estate, and it's not a whole heck of a lot of money. Talking to Mr. Gregg and talking to Ms. Murray, it appears that one, this is the first time Ms. Murray ever has seen it. I don't think that we have to take any action or do anything until this person pursues it. It certainly is not the county's responsibility post 2 years of an estate settling to go down this path. Does anybody have any problem with that? I mean, anybody? Y'all good to leave this the way it is and move on? I think we got more important things to worry about, frankly. Everybody good on that one? Any questions? All right. Cigarette tax we've done. All right. Here's some good news. Thank God. I have 3 signed copies of the future county administrator's contract. It's with Jonathan Weekly. He'll be the next county administrator for Madison County. He'll be starting on August 16th of 2021. Super excited to have him on board. Looking forward to him doing some of this and not Brian and myself and everybody else. This is something good for Madison, is what this is. And something, having somebody that's from here, that knows government and that is hopefully going to work with us for a long period of time. That's absolutely great. We do need to ratify this contract. Tilly needs one. Ms. Fry will have one. And you keep these contracts, Ms. Fry.
Well, I'll just do a PDF, but the main thing is
There you go. And then Sean Greg will have one. I think all we have to do is just vote to ratify the signed contract at this point. What would y'all like to do?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move to ratify the contract of Jonathan Weekly as the new county administrator.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. It was a big step in the right direction. We're real happy about this. Good, that's done too. We've already done Ligon's list. We have no new business. Anybody have anything else they want to discuss tonight? Taking long enough. Information and correspondence, anybody have any of that? No, the sheriff, they pulled out. They're not ready. Lexipol is basically like we have done with Muni Code, an update of their policies. The sheriff's going to come to the sheriff and Troy are going to come to us and ask us for some of the ARPA money for that. That we've had primitive kind of talks, I think, multiple times, but just kind of had never come. It's
Also,
coming.
an outside chance that I may try to jump into that if it doesn't expand the cost to this national.
All right, you have any interim county administrator? You have any information and correspondence you need to go through?
I do not at this time.
All right, Ellen Berry is our temporary replacement for Miss Fry. We're glad to have you, Mr. Berry. You have super big shoes to fill on, Miss Fry. He's doing a great job, by the way. All right, public comment. Anybody have public comment? Is there any public comment on our multiple platforms?
No, sir.
The school board has stopped doing these platforms. At this point, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't. I think it's a service to citizens to continue doing them. The new building is much better equipped than whatever junk we've got in here. I mean, it's just terrible.
Yeah, I found that out when I got home last night. I looked at the agenda. I went, oh, crap.
It was exciting. Very, very exciting school board meeting. We do have a closed session. Please.
I move that the board convene in closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-371183, discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for public purpose, or discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position and negotiating strategy of the board related to the acquisition and disposal of property located at Thrift Road, and 2.2-3, Section 11A, for discussion and/or consideration for the Madison County Finance Director's position.
Second.
Motion made and second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, in closed session. Thank you all for sticking with us. I apologize.